What's up, summoners? My name is Hickory. Today I'm joined with my good friend Quasar. This intro is going awfully so far, but we're gonna get right into it and pretend that we haven't done anything this awful just yet. Today we are going to be casting the undefeated White Lotus versus Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising is 2-2 so far as we start our third week of the GXP Championship. As I mentioned, my name's Hickory, and with me is Quasars. Quasars, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fine. How are you?
Clearly incredibly prepared for this match.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, things are a little bit last minute, so I'm just kind of jumping right on into things. So, like I mentioned, we have an undefeated team here, the only undefeated team in the league. On the other hand of things, we do have Phoenix Rising, who is at 2-2, kind of middle of the pack. Is this the first time that the undefeated team becomes defeated? Do you believe in Phoenix Rising?
I mean, Phoenix Rising does have like a much better roster than I've seen previously, or at least they've been doing better as a team. So I think they're definitely going to put up a fight, but I do believe that White Lotus is going to be victorious in this best of three, unfortunately.
So you're feeling 5-0 at the head of week 3 for White Lotus?
Against this particular team, I'm going to have to go with yes.
Interesting. We're going to have to kind of check in on things in the coming weeks to see how White Lotus will be doing. Let me see if I can actually figure out what their next matchup is. I probably can't because I don't know how the internet works.
Their next game, I believe, is against us, Purple Cobras.
Is against Purple Cobras. Interesting.
Yeah, and I believe that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Well, unfortunately, I will not be here. I'm assuming you will probably be there.
Yeah, I'll be casting for tomorrow.
Excellent. All right. Well, then, in that case, would you rather see a 5-0 White Lotus who's feeling pretty good, or potentially a 4-1 who might be a little bit grumpy about having fallen?
For my particular team, I would say I'm a little bit grumpy, but.
So you're feeling the 4-1, right?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, we're jumping into picks and bans. Any few kind of bans you want to see right off the bat from either team? It is going to be Phoenix Rising first.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Lee Sin ban, just because like I've seen him get played a lot in this particular championship. So I just feel like one of their teams have a player that plays Lee Sin, but I haven't really checked their op.gg's yet, so I have no clue what they play at this point.
Okay, fair. Xayah and Yasuo are first two bans from either side. Interesting decisions. I'm a big Xayah fan, as well as Alistar. Not sure about the Yasuo. Kind of seems like a bit of a target ban. He seems like he could pretty easily go through the banning phase, but that's just me. Zoe coming up as well. Everybody hates Zoe. I think she's cute.
Yeah, I do know that the AD carry on White Lotus' side has a really high win rate on a lot of AD carries. So I wouldn't be surprised if, Phoenix Rising were to try to ban him out. But because his champion pool's so large, I think they're just going to go with his main as Xayah.
Sure, take out the main, but kind of give him one of the more traditional crit-based marksmen. I'm happy that we're kind of getting back to that more quote-unquote normalized meta. I do actually really like mage mids, marksmen, bots, and kind of tanks filling the rest of the map. It actually, in my opinion, kind of makes the game a little bit more easy to follow. When everyone's just an assassin, things just get a little bit hectic, and it might be kind of fun to play, but it kind of ruins the spectator for me. Braum coming in as the first pick, one of my favorite supports. What do you think is going to good ADC to go with him?
With Braum, I typically like the typical Braum Lucian combo, but I do know that he does well with like high attack speed champions like Jinx, and I've seen him with a Kai'Sa as well. They do pretty well together in lane.
So Aatrox actually is going to be picked up. It's one of the highest picking bans at the semi-pro and pro levels. He's incredibly strong in the top lane. Was that a missed ban of the Darius as opposed to the Aatrox?
Well, both can be really strong top laners if you know what you're doing with them. And with the recent changes to Aatrox, I do feel like he's a little bit stronger than previously. So I feel like White Lotus knows what he's doing with the Aatrox pick there, and I hope that it works out for their team.
Aatrox is super scary, but it falls off pretty quickly. So you're mentioning Lucian. We have a Jhin with the Braum instead. How do you feel about that combo? Still okay, or you were looking for more attack speed?
I was looking for more attack speed, personally, just like as a support main. I like to have Braum paired up with someone with higher attack speed than Jhin. But I do feel like they could definitely make the Braum work if you know, they can focus on who has the stacks and who doesn't, and kind of pick out like the squishier ones, the AD carry and the Aatrox, and try to, you know, even out the playing field a little bit before they go in and try to wipe the team.
There's actually a Lucian on the other side. So far, it looks pretty strong for the side of White Lotus. I'm liking these picks. We're going to have to see what the kind of final picks are and to finish up the bans. I wanted to say what's up to H2O Buffaloes. He was nice enough to say hi to me this morning. Shout out to my buddy. I don't even know who he is. Warwick Band coming in.
Head of Games XP.
Ah, cool. I'm a very well-informed person, as you can clearly see. So back to the game. We have a Swain ban, no Demonic Ascension this game in Jin Zhao. Still needs some engagement on the side of Phoenix, I feel like. Don't you?
Yeah, I've seen that they do tend to go like pretty engaging, and like they put a lot of pressure in their laning phases. But I feel like White Lotus is a little bit more intelligent when it comes to gameplay and, you know, picking people off, and I feel like they'll just like use the high engaged team against them.
Well, see, that's kind of my question, is that they remove the Alistar, they remove the Jin Zhao, they get counterpicked with the Sejuani. Who is going to go in for the side of Phoenix? Outside of like a perfect Gnar engagement, but you know, it's not as common as like, you know, an Alistar, right?
I feel like if they don't pick a heavy engage, okay, well they just did. So the Trundle. But what I was going to say is I felt like if they didn't pick a heavy engage here in these last two picks, then probably they would follow up on the Braum ult or wait for Gnar to go mega and go in.
Pick the Akali. Pick the Akali.
I want to see the Akali.
Don't be a B word. He's letting out the time. It's going to be Vhagar. Oh, man. I really wanted the Akali. That would be fun. Gonna have just a pretty standard control mage in the mid lane trying to blow up some of these squishies, which would be just Lucian, I guess. Let's see what the mid laner for White Lotus is. They do have the counter pick here. They get any choice that they want. What do you want to see?
Oh. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
I mean,
honestly, I would have liked to see maybe like a Swain mid at that point, like just for sustaining against the... Oh, he is. Oh, I didn't even see that. I was gonna say Morgana for the Black Shield, and then I looked up and I saw the Morgana ban, and I was like, oh, well, maybe Swain, and then I didn't even notice the Swain because I was trying to focus more on the Morgana. But I mean, yeah, Lux can definitely beat Vhagar in lane if she knows what she's doing, and if the Vhagar, you know, isn't careful. Because I saw Frisian do it a few days ago when he was playing solo duo. So.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think that Lex has a bit of advantage. Can you give me a couple quick win conditions for both teams, really quick, before we get into the game itself?
Yeah. So on the side of White Lotus, I feel like they had the Aatrox and the Sejuani to kind of get in there and do things for them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them follow up with him or her and try to get some damage in. And with the side of Phoenix Rising, the Trundle engage, the Gnar engage, also really good. It really just kind of depends on who can get more damage off, on who needs to be taken down faster. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Vigar try to focus solution, or Lux try to snare the Jhin and pick him off with maybe an ult. Or Aatrox just completely ignore the front line and go in the back line and get Jhin and Vigar as well. So both teams have a lot of different, well, not a lot, but a few different win conditions that they can go with. The Aatrox can single-handedly jump in the back line. Trundle can easily put up a pillar and mess up the positioning of White Lotus. So it just depends on how each team wants to play it out and how they end up actually playing it out.
Okay. First blood by whom, on whom, at what time?
I feel like with the Braum and the Gnar, they're going to try to invade because they do have a good invade level 1. So I feel like maybe Vigar or Jhin is going to get first blood on either Lux or Lucian when they go to invade.
At like 3 or whatever?
3, yeah, about 3:30.
Okay. I'll hold you to that. I like that. I do love invades. Braum is, as you mentioned, a monster at level 1. I do hope we get some fun, spicy action at the beginning of this game, because this game kind of feels like it could pretty easily devolve into a farm fest really, really quickly. Just kind of looking at the teams. Final words on the game. Who do you think's won the draft? Just yes or no.
Oh God, that's tough. I'm gonna say that Phoenix Rising won the draft.
Phoenix Rising won the draft.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the thoughts, Quasar. We're going to kick it to a quick break as the game starts, and we will see you in just a few seconds.
My name is Tim Borseth, and I own and operate Games XP in Decorah, Iowa. Games XP is a geek paradise. We carry everything from Pong and Atari all the way to Xbox One and PS4, and all the games that would go with those consoles as well. We also carry a ton of movies. We have handheld games. We have Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon. We have D&D and Pathfinder. We carry Warhammer 40K. We have a vintage Star Wars selection. This place is great. My wife and I have had 6 kids, and they are so much fun to work with here at the store. They run the store as much as I do.
And we now repair cell phones, game consoles, computers, and small electronics.
Our store is instant fun. Not only is there cool music and cool stuff to look at, but we have a game room that is so much fun. It's free to play, and you just plug in your game system and enjoy life. The Game XP motto is bringing joy to people's lives through our products, people, and a place to play. So you have got to come to Decorah, Iowa, and check out Games XP and experience this geek gaming paradise.
Hello, and welcome back to Game 1 between Phoenix Rising and White Lotus. Quasars, how you doing?
I'm all right.
You said a level 1 engagement. It's coming from the wrong team, though.
Ouchie.
5-man from the side of White Lotus. They are spotted out by a ward. I hope that Phoenix Rising bails on this, seeing as Canadian champ is actually in the mid lane anyway. So far, so good on the timer of 1 minute. Things are loaded in just fine. I think though it's about minute 5 in the game, so they're just kind of bailing on it. They got a little hypey there, but the very nicely placed ward in the tri-bush should deal with everything that's coming from the side of White Lotus. Canadian champ is looking to steal away the red buff as well. Looks like a pretty nice response from the side of Phoenix.
Yeah, you do see that Trundle's over there starting his red. So, well, the other team's red actually, Ripperoni. So hopefully Sejuani will kind of realize that and be able to kind of get his red as well. It looks like she wants to counter jungle, so.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty comfortable vertical jungling that we're seeing quite a few weeks ago coming back into play. I actually kind of like it personally, although it seems uncomfortable. It feels way more comfortable to me as a jungler. Maybe I'm just weird, who knows? Nothing too fancy just yet from the side of the world, of either side rather. Little bit of a CS discrepancy. Actually, everything's pretty equal now that I say that. And everyone's playing actually very, very calm so far. No level 2s just yet. Everyone's just kind of seeing where things are. Who's going to make the first move, since you're already wrong about the first kill, the first blood?
Well, we do see a lot of boops going back and forth in the top and the bot lane, but I feel like Sejuani might try to maybe try to go mid or bot here shortly and see if she can make anything happen. Like, it seems that they're pinging like, oh, there's some vision here. So I'm not going to come down right now, but maybe I'll be there in a second.
Pretty nice trading on the side of the top side, but Meganar is going to pop out, forcing Fresh Burger away. But that was an incredible amount of damage out of the Aatrox. He did miss his chain, his knockback ability, his W, if you will, which probably kind of keep him from wanting to engage too further. And a little bit of trade in the bot lane between Ethereal and Nutrinx. But again, no one really going too far all in just yet, just kind of seeing how things are. Until actually a root coming in from Fuji in the mid lane on Alexander. He's extremely low, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to finish off just yet. No more mana for Fuji. Nice trading so far, but we haven't seen the junglers really get in on the action just yet.
Yeah, no, typically I have seen Phoenix play a little bit more aggressive, but I think they're a teeny bit scared.
Gank going on in the mid lane. It's actually a 2v2. However, Alexander's extremely low. He's going to play off Cleanse instantly, but does go down after Permafrost. Permafrost might actually get popped onto Canadian champ as well. It does hit, and the final stun does not go. The last auto attack didn't hit him. They do not get the double kill, but a very, very nice counter game from Kairos in the right place at the exact right time.
I mean, I was wrong about first blood in the jungle, but they kind of got it mid lane, so it was like,
yeah, I mean, it was Kairos after all. Interesting to see the positioning looked kind of weird. It almost looked like Canadian champion was just a little bit too far forward in the lane. I mean,
yeah.
But let's see if things settle down. Kairos is hanging around top lane. He's probably just going to back, though, drop a ward, see how things are doing. Obviously, the red buff for Canadian champ is down. A little bit of trading does go into bot lane, but nothing just felt. Yeah, they are pretty far into this tower, and I doubt they're going to want to all in on the side of Phoenix. Sprinkle Me Silly, Sprinkle N Silly, actually, excuse me, has been hitting his Qs quite well. And actually, another trade on the top. Fortunately, Kaze doesn't get out of the pullback, but not a lot of return damage from Fresh Burger. I'm not sure he's feeling the combat just yet. Looks like another trade in the mid lane. See if the root can go off. The stun does not hit. A little bit of a trade. Nothing too fancy. There is this, both summoners blown, or one summoner blown on each side of mid lane. It's going to be a return gank from the junglers, possibly. Pillar of Frost right onto Fuji. Chomp down to see if the stun does land. It does land. And it flashes Forest on the side of Fuji. Not too much used by Canadian Champ or Alexander there. Daydream's getting really aggressive here. I'm not sure if he wants to go in just yet. Lantern does get used more kind of as the shield than an engagement tool, but a nice hook onto Nutrinx as the junglers start dueling it out as well. Permafrost onto Canadian Champ. He's probably going to go down immediately to Freshburger, as well as Sprinkle Silly goes down in the mid lane. Daydreams, and unfortunately, it looks like Hayes got stuck here. Nice double hop, but Permafrost does hop, does go off as Freshburger pulls his ultimate and gets a double kill in the top lane. And the hook again onto Nutrinx. Very nice. Flays him back. And the flash forward, but he's gonna get it. But it might be the end of Ethereal. 1 kill back and almost a 2nd kill back as Fuji gets a solo kill on Alexander. A lot just happened in the last like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like bot lane was trading well up until a point where they just had a slight misplay and Lucian was able to get the kill off on the Braum. And then Nutrinx just overstayed just a little bit. He should have backed out when he saw that his support was taking a little bit too much damage, but he didn't back out in time and he got picked off as well, which is unfortunate. We did see the flash go down, and Lucian, I believe he dashed forward for that kill. Yeah, he still has flash.
Yeah, he did.
He dashed forward.
Flash. So a positive trade. So Aatrox was first picked this game and is already 2-0 up with about a 10 CS lead. I question the lack of bans. I question if his first pick worthy. Nice ward drop in the middle lane there. Is this already a loss from pick and ban here as Sprinkle Silly tries to push forward with a large wave?
Honestly, I think that Phoenix Rising has a better late game comp, and they just need to kind of get to late game.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Aatrox does fall off pretty hard.
Yeah, so I think as long as they hang in there, don't give too many kills over to White Lotus, then they'll be able to kind of hold their own in late game and maybe pull out a win. But
nice stun in the mid lane. It might actually be a kill. And actually, it's a force flash from Alexander as well as cleanse.
But it's gonna be pretty tough since they've already given 6 kills to White Lotus, and their lanes are pushing pretty hard as well, especially mid and top.
Yeah, with not, I mean, there's a decent CS lead in the lanes, but nothing massive, no towers or nothing, structurally. 33,000 damage or 30,000 gold behind actually. This Canadian Champ kind of misses his pillar in mid lane. Isn't gonna get too much. Another great hook on a Sprinkle Silly. Daydreams has been hitting all of them. That always feels good. You start get your opponent a little bit scared, doesn't want to push up too forward. He might start kind of missing CS that he really shouldn't be missing just because of the fear that you could potentially hook him. Might have a Lantern play here, and Daydreams does hit the hook. It's not Sprinkle Silly. He was pretty tanky. Box is dropped. I'm not sure if they're going to keep fighting this too much. Would have been nice to see the hook onto Nutrinx, but like I said, he's hitting every single hook, so eventually he will get it onto Nutrinx. Canadian Champ is here actually, and Kairo's a little bit out of position, but there is a Lantern to get him out as Alexander gets away. There's the ultimate! Fuji hits him with the ultimate as another nice ultimate for Sprinkle Silly is able to pick up Daydreams. Looks like Canadian Champ has been able to turn this around a little bit. Fortunately, Kairo's out of position has kind of screwed the bot lane advantage just a little bit, but I'm not sure they want to force this too much farther. Root goes on to Ethereal, but that could be the end of the play. Looks like a 1-for-1 trade, bot and mid focused. Fuji is here. Looks like he's just kind of trying to push the wave in.
We do see that Vigar got here. He might be going for that Archangels.
Is that normal?
I do see it sometimes, but the only time I've actually
Rid of the Nutrinx And stand behind me for Sprinkle Me. Silly, but I think that's just too much damage coming out. Where is the snowball coming? You said they need to stop with the kills, but with a Bilgewater Cutlass on Ethereal, is it just too much damage already in the bot lane with Fuji hitting these roots and Daydream's just hitting hook after hook after hook?
I mean, if oh god, yeah, I think that like the constant hooks being landed on the side of Thresh is starting to be kind of a problem that they need to work on, like either positioning a little bit better behind minions or like managing their wave a little bit better as well, or maybe even just like, you know, trying to get out of the way of them before they can actually land. But I don't think that you know, either of them are well, they weren't worried about it to begin with, but you know, after like 3 or 4 hooks landing and you getting or giving 4 kills over to the enemy team, like you need to realize that the Thresh is starting to be a problem and you need to watch out for him and stop playing, you know, kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
It sure doesn't seem like there's being a lot of respect given to Daydreams.
No, not at all. It's I feel like they're just you know, kind of doing what they want in lane and not, you know, paying attention to what he's doing and when they should be.
Yeah, absolutely. But playing for Lake is a little hard as the first brick does go to the side of White Lotus as well as a Mountain Drake. Nice for the snowball. Decent amount of damage under the tower top lane as well. Need to check in a mid lane to see what that tower is doing. But with solo kill after solo kill for the side of Fuji, I can't imagine the tower is extremely healthy. It looks like Kairos is trying to invade a little bit the top blue side of the map, but I think he just kind of wants to drop a ward and get on out. Now, Root does miss on the Daydreams, hook back, and actually, Ethereal just goes forward. Doesn't have Cull just yet. He misses Cull completely, unfortunately. It's actually a little bit backwards of the fight as the curtain does get called. The engage in the top lane is going to take Canadian Champion all the way out of the game. But actually, looks like Alexander is in a great pace for a shutdown onto Ethereal. A little bit gold back in his pocket. But Fuji, who is late on the roam, has started to make his way here. But I think that's probably going to be it in the game, but possibly flay back into Alexander. And a root onto New Drinks is going to go down. Another kill for Fuji. Fuji is now 3-0. He has the lantern, but he's not using it just yet. He does get out. Meanwhile, Freshburger is able to take the tower top lane. A couple kills do go back to the side of Phoenix, but it does seem like White Lotus is still pretty strongly in control, even though they might have missed the initial engagement there. What were they doing so far forward?
I honestly have no clue. I think they could have, you know, played a little bit safer. You know, no one to back out, but like White Lotus is already ahead by a decent amount, like 9 kills, and or not 9, sorry, 8, and you know, they just need to kind of like be cautious of how much damage is being put out on the side of White Lotus, especially because like they do want to be playing for late game. Their comp is a much better late game comp, so they need to kind of stop giving over kills, stop getting picked off, respect the enemy team's damage, and try to get vision up on their side of the jungle, because if you notice, White Lotus, they have 4 wards in the enemy jungle, and all they have is a pink ward. And we do see a pause. Trundle says that the support is lagging, so.
It's okay. We want them to work under perfect and prime conditions. Don't want them to be lagging too terribly. Unfortunately, with an online league, there is going to be a little bit of a, you know, CS MS here. I'm at 7 MS Kappa, PogChamp. But anyway, you know, we don't want the players to be getting screwed too much. You were mentioning the ward control. There is an incredible amount of vision for the side of White Lotus that we're able to pick up both the Rift-tailed and the topside Scuttle Crab with the extra wards around the blue buff, giving them pretty massive control over the top side of the map. Not a lot for the side of Phoenix, on the other hand. So on that kind of warding topic, How does White Lotus push their advantage past this river, past blue buff and red buff, and start making their way to the tier 2 towers, to the inhibitors, and eventually working through this game? Is it a little bit too early? I mean, it's only 15 minutes in the game, so they might still need some time to kind of get things going.
Honestly, as long as they keep realizing that Phoenix Rising is making mistakes and capitalizing on those mistakes, they can very well start picking up those tier 2s at as early as 15, 16 minutes. It just all depends on, like what positioning mistakes Phoenix Rising makes. If, for example, like Brahm's just a little bit too far forward and gets picked off by the Lucian or the Lux or the Sedge, then, they just need to watch out for the enemy team's positioning and their own positioning as well.
Sure. Makes sense. They did pick up the Rift Herald, and I feel like usually the mid lane tier 2 Rift Herald, is the best kind of target for tier 1. I'm sorry, the mid lane tier 1 is kind of the usual prime target for the Rift Herald. However, with all tier 1s down, where do you want the Rift Herald to be dropped in the next 3 or so minutes? Is it still mid lane just for that pressure, or do you want to break open one of these side lanes and just kind of let Fresh Burger just go wild?
Honestly, looking at the mini map right now, I see that they have a massive wave bot lane pushing into White Lotus's tower. So one of the members of White Lotus has to go down there, and while he's already down there, that's a good opportunity for them to drop Herald either mid or top lane and start pushing one of those lanes, so that way they can have someone split pushing bot lane, because they already have to go down there to kind of contest that wave against their tier 1. So you might as well try to push out one of the top or mid lane and try to get one of those tier 2s off of that as well, because if Lucian, for example, goes bot lane, decides to push out the wave, Trundle's backing, so Jhin and Braum would have to rotate bot lane and try to contest that Lucian, who's really fed at this moment. It's going to take he's not really fed, but he's well on his way. So they'd need probably 2 people to contest that Lucian right now. So they'd have to rotate down bot, and then with Trundle backing, that's Vigar by himself mid lane and Gnar by himself top lane. So it's a good opportunity to kind of drop it somewhere that's not bot lane.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense to me. I guess then now we have to kind of think about the itemization. There is a Ruby Crystal and a Longsword for the side of Kaze versus a Black Cleaver. Is Kaze just limping his way towards a Black Cleaver? Does he need to switch things up now that he's behind? And on the other side of Fresh Burger, what is his second item with the Caulfield's Hammer coming in?
Honestly, I don't play top lane, so I have no idea.
Sure.
But
okay.
I do know that Gnar might want to go ahead and get some armor for the Aatrox, just so he can kind of contest his own lane, because he has no armor, and Aatrox is going AD and health, it looks like. So he does need to get some cloth armor just for lane sustain. He should have gotten that a lot earlier. I would have done that maybe instead of a longsword or boots. But he does need something at this point, just so he can push his wave and safely back out if he needs to. And he's not getting deleted by Aatrox, or if the Sedge comes up as well, it would help a little bit. Or well, not a little bit. It wouldn't help at all, actually, because Sedge is AP and tank. Hello, but it would help. Just so he's taking less damage from the Aatrox, he would have a better chance of getting away from both of them as well. Just because lack of damage from Aatrox, and then Sedge, she doesn't really have a lot of damage. She's mostly CC and tank, so he'd be able to get away.
Okay.
So
the next
with the Vigar though, the tier, we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so I've seen back in let's see, when did I start playing this trash game? I think back in season 6. And I saw a lot of people going that at the time. Well, not a lot, but quite a few. And they would do Saris and Archangels, whatever, same thing. And they would kind of do that, and then build into other AP items, your Rabadons and your Ludens. And that's honestly the only time I've ever seen anyone take tier on Vigar. So I'm not sure if he's like looking to build it into something else or if he's just having it for like the mana or what. But that's the only thing personally that comes to mind when I see tier on Vigar.
So what you're telling me is that this little leprechaun right here on your screen is actually playing the long con, and that Alexander is the support player, and all of a sudden Sprinkle Me Silly is going to pop off with some AP Braum. Is that what you're telling me?
AD attack speed Braum, hell yeah, I'm down.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Makes sense. Why not?
I mean, I'm not sure if it's a bad item on Vigar. It's just like you don't see it built, so it could just be for mana purposes.
Built, it might not be the best. However, it's never good to be a meta slave. You never want to follow the pack. It's always good to be your own individual player. That's why I play. That's why. Never mind. Not gonna go there. But anyway. Lucian is starting to get kind of scary. However, he will start to fall off. Is Jhin going to be the saving grace of Phoenix? He has finished his Stormrazor, probably going to get his tier 2 boots here soon. Maybe he's going to get some sort of zeal out of maybe like a rapid fire or something like that in the next few minutes. He does have a bit of a CS lead. He's only 1 kill behind Ethereal. Is Nutrinx will Nutrinx be able to slow down the game and come 25 minutes, 30 minutes, start to kind of turn things around and carry the game? Or are people like Freshburger, are people like Kairos and Fuji just so far ahead right now that they can basically just all-in dive Nutrinx and just kind of see what happens?
No, honestly, I've seen his Jhin before. And when he goes, just like the basic crit items that you build on Jhin, a lot of the time people have an issue with it late game. So as long as he's like doing his own thing and, getting the kills that he needs, and, getting the items to build for the damage he needs and the crit that he needs, I think that late game he'll be fine. And he'll start to snowball pick up the kills that he needs. But unless Sejuani and Aatrox start to build maybe Rabadons for him, then or not Rabadons, Jesus. What is that tank item called?
Randuins.
Thank you. Randuins, yeah. Unless they go and build a Randuins, then he's gonna be problematic for them as well. And not just like, the Lux, the Lucian, and the Thresh.
So you think maybe, perhaps, possibly in some slight, maybe part of this world and maybe a different alternate universe, perhaps the one where, Loki didn't die, Nutrinx is able to carry?
Yeah, I personally believe in his ability as an AD carry to be able to carry. It just it depends on his team, honestly. Like if they're able to not get picked off, not get out of position, then I think honestly, and if they're able to peel for him, I think honestly he'll be fine. Like the Braum, he's doing a great job at like shielding when it's necessary, but you still have like so much damage coming through that once the shield's down, he unfortunately got picked off a few times. So like the Braum just needs to get some items, get a little beefier, and then like keep properly peeling for Jhin, and I think he'll be more than okay.
Yeah, I mean, there is a pretty solid front line for Nutrinx, especially with the good, Mega Gnar ult. So I guess just kind of assuming that White Lotus isn't able to 100-0 the poor gentleman, he should be able to do a little bit of damage as we do get back into the game. And you were kind of mentioning that Lucian's going to look to kind of clear out this way bot lane. Lots of damage on the Canadian champion. Wow, oh my god, he might actually be able to do it. The pillar, flash forward, Cole, and he's actually going to get a solo kill on a Canadian champ. Wow, Ethereal does a lot of damage. That changes my mind from everything that we just said for the past 20 minutes.
Ouchie. Yeah, that's what you don't want from your teammates as Nutrinx. Oh god, I mispronounced his name really bad, but it's okay. Yeah, that's what you don't want. You would want to kind of avoid the Lucian at this point and just not hand over any more kills to him, even if he does fall off a little bit later.
Is it not pronounced Nutrinks?
The way I heard myself say it was really wrong, so I don't know if I actually said it right, and my brain was just like,
It's done quite all right to me, ma'am. I think you're just making things up in your head. That pink word finally gets picked off in the blue side of the map. It's about 5 minutes. Whenever Kairos was still kind of invading before the top and mid tier 1 did go down. And it actually kind of looks like Fresh Burgers might get a little rotated on here now because he's playing safe, he's playing smart. He knows that even though he has a lead, he doesn't need to push it too much farther. Just let his teams kind of push the waves in. There's no wave at all in the bot lane, so he probably can assume there's going to be more than one person at the top right now. It's actually the duo.
Yeah, we saw a 400 crit come out of Jin, so he's well on his way, I believe.
Was that a 4th shot or just a crit?
I think a crit and a 4-shot.
Oh.
I mean, I think I saw one for like 350-ish and then one for like 400.
I would assume that the 350 is the Storm Razor proc. That's just my assumption, though. I don't know.
I don't know what these champions do. I don't know what these items do.
Fair.
I'm just a support main help.
Storm Razor gives you a guaranteed crit on your first attack after 2 or 3 seconds of not attacking.
Ah, thank you.
Yes. It's quite fun, especially on Jin, since you basically won't be attacking for 2 seconds always with your reload time. So it's really, really nice, although it's been used on a lot of ADCs just in general recently. A little bit of a tower shot for Daydreams. A nice 1-1-3 as the Rift Herald does get dropped in the bot lane. A root from Fuji on to Trinks. I'm not sure he can 1v2 here. He does get rooted, he does get stunned, he does get ulted. However, the bot lane tower does go down. It looks like Ethereal is just so strong right now. He can just basically 1v2 even though his team is there. Nice tanking from the side of Kairos, a hook to finish things off for Daydreams, and a second charge onto the inhibitor turret. This might be a pretty domineering push here so far. Very, very early Rift Herald. 17 minutes in the game, they're going to be able to get the first inhibitor. Looks like about 17-15. And perhaps the top lane tier 2 as well does go down to Fresh Burger at the exact same time. Not sure to be able to get in there. Whoa, the culling goes out, but I think... Woo! That was a little bit spoopy. Nice use. I think you actually... Didn't you say that you didn't want the Rift Herald bot lane? Not to call you out,
Yeah.
but...
No, I was just thinking that maybe, like, they'd want to push out bot lane and put it in another wave just so, like, because at this point in the game, I don't think that, you know, Phoenix Rising can really contest 2 lanes being pushed at the same time. We did see Aatrox kind of pushing top lane, and Jin and Brav were up there, and then they decided to drop the Rift Herald bot lane instead, so it's kind of like the opposite of what I predicted, but they were still pushing 2 lanes at once, and they were able to capitalize on that Rift Herald big time, so...
And very nicely timed, the Mountain Dragon Drake does go down at the exact same time.
So that's a good amount of siege for the side of White Lotus now. They have 2 Mountain Drakes and 7 towers.
So if we were to put ourselves in the boots of one of the little minions on the blue side of Phoenix, and we're fighting valiantly against these evil monsters that are Aatrox and Sejuani, how do we get back into this game as Aatrox is engaged on the top lane? Freshburger's going to E over the wall, is rooted up. He might actually lose his ultimate. They don't. They actually killed him just a little bit before his ultimate does go off. He is forced to flash forward, but he doesn't really have anywhere to go. They actually have an E. Wow, nice escape from the side of Freshburger. That hook on a case, he just went too far. He's going to get stunned up by the Permafrost. Another kill goes over to the Aetherius. He is 6-2 now. Not sure the Permafrost is going to go on to Crinkle Me, but he does get hooked. Unbelievable hooks from the side of Daydreams as Aetherial picks up a double kill.
Yeah, unfortunately, Daddy Braum shielded in the wrong direction there.
Oh, he can beat my daddy any day.
Same.
Mid lane's gonna get pushed forward. The bot lane wave with the super minion is going to push things forward, and it looks like, unfortunately, Canadian Champ is the one that has to deal with it because the flash hook onto Alexander. It gets popped by Ethereal. The ultimate on to Nutrinks. He does flash away. He's not going to go down yet, but Ethereal's feeling it. He wants to push forward. He's going to get rooted up, but there's no one really to deal with him as the mid lane inhibitor turret does go down. A whisk hook for the first time ever. Daydreams misses a hook. inhibitor is going to go down in the mid lane. At 20 minutes, that's 2 inhibitors down 20 minutes into the game. Baron hasn't even spawned yet, and he has now. Ultimate on it, and Nutrinks. Wow, that was an incredible damage to Fuji. I didn't even see him hit the root as the 3rd inhibitor goes down. I was about to say finally, that's not even correct. That's so unbelievably fast. 3 turrets down in 2 minutes 17. The bot lane turret will be up in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Math is hard. 2 or 3 minutes perhaps. Do you think they can Baron now with a double mountain?
Honestly, I think they can. It just doesn't look like they want to. They did get all 3 inhibs down, so they have plenty of time to back buy items and then go Baron. Because unfortunately, Phoenix Rising needs to, defend their base, defend their Nexus turrets, and Aatrox is up there right now clearing vision on the Baron. So I feel like right now would be a great time for them to go and get that, because even if one of the members of Phoenix Rising decides to go up there and contest it, or maybe even 3 of them, it's at a point right now where White Lotus, can easily take out whoever comes to contest this.
Double Mountain Drakes can give them an incredible amount of damage onto the Baron. As my voice quickly cracks, you didn't notice it, I'm actually still in my puberty. I'm 13 years old. And the Baron does go down pretty easily as all inhibitors are still down. Bottom lane, as I mentioned, should be coming up pretty soon. This is an incredibly strong White Lotus looking to kind of push it down mid. They're up 16,000 damage at 21 minutes. I need my stats team, to fact check whether this is the largest lead of the season. I believe it is. I have a stats team waiting for me. Hopefully they'll Google things for me. However, the mid lane wave is going to be pushing not enough of a wave top or bot. However, do you think they can do this as Canadian Champ's kind of out of position? It's really low. The first tower is going to go down. Is this the push?
Yeah, I think this is the game-winning push. Like,
he died. Nutrinks actually was blown up by culling as well. Ethereal is now 10-2, absolutely dominating the game. Kind of came out of nowhere after the first few kills, and it looks like we're getting a little bit playing with our food as 4 go down. Can they get the ace? The Flay doesn't look like they're going to get it, as the Nexus does go down for game 1, won by White Lotus. Pretty impressive. Now, Quasars, this would be the time where I tell you to break everything down for me and tell me why White Lotus was able to win and why, unfortunately, Phoenix was able to lose. However, we have to jump into our next game right now. You don't even get to say anything.
Oh, I'm sad.
I know. I'm sorry to say. However, we do need to jump into our next game because I'm more worried about hitting the draft of our next game than breaking down our previous game. Do you have any quick thoughts really quickly while we do start getting the draft set up?
No, I don't think so. Just that I don't think that the Braum quite knew what he was doing, just because I did see him try to block a Lux ultimate a couple times, and unfortunately that goes straight through the Braum shield. So maybe just play a more comfortable champion and set up one that works for your team comp against a much stronger team in the league.
Could have been a little bit nerves. You never know.
Yeah.
You are playing an undefeated team. Feels spoopy. Feels scary. I will say, however, that Phoenix is 2-2 right now. So if they do unfortunately lose the next game, I'm not saying that they will, they'll be 2-3, which is still pretty solidly in the middle of the pack. There are still a couple of teams below them, a couple of teams above them. They still have the ability to kind of work their way through the kind of, the middle of the pack in the kind of, as we get through this is almost the first half of the season where we start looking towards the second half and things are kind of shaping up. Are there any actually other teams as we start getting towards mid-season? This should be a mid-season invitational, by the way, that you might be looking towards that can topple a team like White Lotus, who were just so dominant in the past game.
Yeah, I feel like my team is actually a good one to go against them. Like, they do have a game tomorrow. The Purple Cobras.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. They do. They are in second place right now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them put up a fight and even maybe a win over White Lotus. But they do need to practice a little bit before then. We do have a substitute top laner this week because unfortunately mine had a family emergency, so we might actually be a slight disadvantage, but I do think that my team might be able to play, pull through a little bit and at least like 2-1 if they don't win,
Sure. I'm not sure White Lotus has dropped a game, actually. Need my stats team to look that up. They did not look up the previous stat that I asked them for, so hopefully they'll look up whether White Lotus has not lost a single game so far. Let's look at the first few bans, though. We do have a Yasuo and a Swain from the side of White Lotus versus the Aatrox and Xayah of the side of Phoenix. Aatrox kind of is self-explanatory. You mentioned that the Xayah was a big pick for Ethereal, but he looked just as monstrous on Lucian as he might have on Xayah. Is it even worth banning out such a strong ADC player and just try to play against him differently?
Honestly, I don't think they should waste any bans on him because if you look at his op.gg, he has at least like I know of currently like 5 AD carries with more than a 60% win rate on them. So I don't believe that like wasting any bans on him would be ideal. Like that's like no matter what, he's gonna be playing a champion he's more than comfortable with, and at that point, it's just like I feel like he's gonna either start to dominate early game in lane or late game once laning phase is over. So either way, he's probably gonna get ahead at some point, or it's just not really worth a ban. I feel like a ban would be better used on maybe Fuji or even maybe Fresh Burger opposed to Aetherial. So.
That makes a lot of sense. Fuji was getting a lot of kills. Freshberg was also getting a lot of kills, but they didn't seem like game-ending kills, It seemed like pressure kills, get a kill mid lane, rotate bot. But it seemed like the especially the solo kill that Ethereal had on Trundle, played by Canadian champ, just kind of like right after the pause. It just seemed like that so much pressure was lost just from that easy kill that he picked up, as opposed to I almost feel like if Fuji did the same thing mid lane right after the pause, it wouldn't have been as kind of heart-wrenching. So the first 3 picks we do have is a Braum for the side of White Lotus. Daydreams is going to pick it up, although it was an absolute monster on Thresh, and it's here. It's not banned. But he's going to pick up Braum. Maybe he's trying to kind of make fun of Sprinkle Missile. We don't know. An Ashe and a Warwick for the side of Phoenix. Thoughts, questions, concerns, comments, prayers for your various lords?
Yeah, I do think that the Ashe Warwick combo is pretty good. Just because if you land your Ashe arrow, then they're stunned, and then Warwick is the easy jump in, and he can suppress them, and what are you gonna do?
And is a Leon mid from White Lotus and a run back of the Sejuani for Kairos. Fuji kind of likes these support mids, it seems like. I actually really love Zillion. He is so disgusting when played well and so hilariously bad when not. He's very, very fun to watch. As Vladimir is hovered instead of Phoenix. What do you think about Zillion?
Personally, I'm trash at Zillion. I've tried and I've failed multiple times. But I do like his wonderful taunt that he has. I played against a Zillion in bot lane a few seasons ago, and I remember this clearly because it was probably the most obnoxious thing ever, but he actually bound his taunt to his right click, and every time he walked anywhere, that's all you heard all laning phase, and I wanted to rip my hair out.
Wow, that's awful. I probably would have punched my computer.
Yeah. But yeah, it was tilting to say the least, and it was in a ranked game. He was landing all of his stuns. Pretty sure he was a Smurf. I was in Silver 5 at the time, and yeah, I hate seeing Zillion out. I wouldn't ban him just because no one really plays him, but it's definitely something I don't want to see in lane, especially if they're good.
What do you think the last ban from White Lotus is? What do they need to ban? Oh, there we go. Syndra. A little bit of a support ban there, as it has not been picked up for the side of Phoenix. I didn't give you a lot of time to think there, did I? So I'm thinking probably a support pick here from Phoenix. I don't know why you'd leave the counter pick for a support.
See.
Yes, no, maybe so, possibly.
I'm not sure.
You do leave the support for the counter pick. Interestingly, as Malphite gets picked up, probably top, it could technically be support, as Jinx, one of my favorite ADCs, is locked in for Ethereal. He was so strong in the previous game, game 1, that I hope in game 2 he can really pop off on this extremely scaling hyper carry that kind of reminds me of my little sister. And the Vladimir hovered on the side of Phoenix is picked up by the side of White Lotus as probably a top laner for Fresh Burger.
Yeah, and there's the wonderful attack speed and Braum passive that I mentioned in game 1 champion select that I love to see. I just think that Braum does a lot better with AD carries that have a lot of attack speed mid to late game, just because they can proc the stun a little bit faster, pick some people off faster. And I think Jinx Braum is a wonderful combo to have bot lane, but I'm not really sure how it's going to work out with the Ashe Malphite, because that's not really a combo I personally see often in bot lane. Like typically if I do see a Malphite, it's with like someone like an Ezreal or a Lucian who can like kind of dash in a way if they decide, oh, that was a bad time to go in. I've also seen him paired up with Callista a couple times as well. It didn't really work out, but I've never really seen him with an Ashe. So I can't really say how the bot lane on the side of Phoenix Rising is going to go, but I know that for a fact that on White Lotus, it will be a little bit difficult to lane against them with the Jinx Braum.
No flash for Syndra.
She doesn't
That's
need
interesting.
flash.
Does she not?
Nope.
There we go. Flash
Ghost.
Ghost at the last second. But it did actually, the reason that I thought about this, because I actually know double ignite for both the bot laner, which is a little bit surprising to me in that we have a Braum Malphite Ashe Jinx setup. I wouldn't necessarily call this a quote unquote kill lane. So where is the thought process of no exhaust, no TP, no, yeah, those two?
Well, personally, I actually like Ignite on Braum just because there's sometimes, where like you'll stun them and then your AD carry, especially like early on, just can't get enough damage off to kind of finish that kill. So that actually kind of helps you secure those early game kills. And then also there's a thought process of the reduced healing when you have Ignite on. So if Ashe is like, a quarter health and might be thinking about using heal sometime soon, Ignite is a good thing to throw on her. The same would go for the Malphite as far as healing goes, but I'm not really sure about how that would work in his favor as far as aggression and securing kills early on would go, just because I know that Malphite is not as strong as a support as Braum. So I'm not sure if he'll actually have the confidence to kind of go in and do what Braum is meant to do.
Okay. So, I mean, you might have hinted at it a little bit, but who are you feeling more comfortable with after we've seen these drafts?
Who's more comfortable?
Intriguing drafts. I mean, who do you feel was more comfortably gotten what they needed from the draft? Which team?
I feel like probably White Lotus. Like they have the Vladimir with the incredible amount of health drain, the Sejuani with the CC, the Zillion with the stuns and the burst damage. They have the Jinx, hyper carry, a lot of attack speed. And then they have Mr. Braum over there, Daddy Braum, who can do a lot of stuns and has a wonderful knockup and shield that he can use as utility as well. So I feel like their team is strong as far as like solo lanes go. As far as team comp goes, it might be a little bit difficult for them late game. But I feel like on the side of Phoenix Rising, they have Aurelia, who's really strong in lane. Warwick with his ult is really good as far as assisting in lanes. Has Syndra, who does a lot of burst damage as well. You have the Ashe with the, the global stun that can be extremely fatal if you're good at sniping people, and the Malphite with the knockup and the slow. So I see really good team comps on both sides, but I feel like White Lotus might have a little bit of an edge.
You're going to go with White Lotus. Excellent. Thank you. Fantastic. Very much, ma'am. We're going to throw it to a break. Don't you touch that browser. See you soon.
My name is Tim Borseth, and I own and operate Games XP in Decorah, Iowa. Games XP is a geek paradise. We carry everything from Pong and Atari all the way to Xbox One and PS4. All the games that would go with those consoles as well. We also carry a ton of movies. We have handheld games. We have Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. We have D&D and Pathfinder. We carry Warhammer 40K. We have a vintage Star Wars selection. This place is great. I've had 6 kids and they are so much fun to work with here at the store. They run the store as much as I do.
And we now repair cell phones, game consoles, computers, and small electronics.
Our store is instant fun. Not only is there cool music and cool stuff to look at, but we have a game room that is so much fun. It's free to play. And you just plug in your game system and enjoy life. The Game XP motto is bringing joy to people's lives through our products, people, and a place to play. So you have got to come to Decorah, Iowa and check out Games XP and experience this geek gaming paradise.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, summoners. It is time for Game 2 between White Lotus and Phoenix Rising. White Lotus did go up at Game 1. It's 1-0. They are an undefeated team right now, 4-0, even though my stats team might have lied to me. Phoenix Rising, on the other hand, is 2-2. And it might be another level 1 play from White Lotus where they do have the Braum this time as opposed to the Thresh. Can they do it on 2Ks?
I think that they're a little bit more confident as to how the last game turned out, so.
Missed the Frostfang. Daydreams should have stayed on the Thresh. He was hitting every hook. He now has a 0% hit rate with his Q. 0%! That's awful. It's garbage.
Yeah, it looks like they really want something here, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, they're really looking for something, but it looks like once again, Phoenix has been playing really, really smart here. I mean, this is actually the opposite side of the map, and they still are able to absorb the not massive pressure, but early pressure pretty easily, pretty quickly. Looks like a bot side start for both junglers, red and blue, respectively. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Kay's playing very respectfully at the top side of his map, just sitting under his tower. Aurelia is actually one of my favorite champions. I mentioned that Jinx is my favorite AC. I think Aurelia might actually be my favorite champion. Maybe Olaf. I do like a good a bro every once in a while. Nice little trade in the mid lane for Alexander. I don't think this is going to be too scary of a lane until we start getting a couple levels, getting the W and the E for Syndra, a couple stuns for Fuji. Where do you think a lot of the aggression is going to be early on? Where do you want to see the first gank?
I actually think that it would be ideal to gank Braum and Jinx early on, just because we saw how well Aethriel got ahead last game, and you might want to try to shut him down pretty early. But it might be difficult with the Braum.
Sprinkle My Sealy is able to get quite a lot of... 2 does pop for White Lotus a little bit earlier, and just about a lot of 1 apparently CS for Phoenix. A nice attempt to engage, but Sprinkle Seals actually really been poking quite a lot. There's only 1 more potion left on the side of Daydreams. Keep in mind, however, that support items were slightly nerfed, so you only get 2 potions at this time. That's a 1 potion lane for the bot lane. Nothing too massive, but a nice little lead. You mentioned that you want to see a gank on the bot lane. The more pressure you can get on them, as a stun goes up onto Freshburger, down a level, a little bit of a W from K's. Nothing too fancy. Just kind of show his will a little bit more than he did last game, as a stun does drop on the Fuji, and Fuji's gonna go pretty low. Don't think there's kill potential here yet with no ignite. Some might actually go up, and actually Fuji does go extremely low. Unfortunately, no ignite for Alexander. It's just gonna be a pretty somewhat equal trade for the mid laners. He did hit a frostbite.
Yeah, we do see the Warwick kind of thinking about ganking bot lane. As long as they don't make it super obvious, he should be able to come in here.
He is here. He has double buffs. He just loses, flashes forward for the flea and a flash back from Ethereal. At least they got the flash, but I don't think kill. One flash and heal for the side of White Lotus for only the flash of Canadian Champ. I'm happy to trade my jungler's flash for both summoners of the ADC, especially the ADC that ended up at 12 or 2 or something like that last game. And a pretty nice health lead. I mentioned that there was few pots. There's now no potions left for the bot side. Good call for the bot lane gank. Do you think they just keep it up? Do they just double down on this bot lane?
Honestly, I think that the bot lane on the side of Phoenix Rising should play a little bit passive and just like wait for you know, the ganks from the Warwick to kind of pick people off down there, because last game we saw that even though you know, they were getting some help, they just weren't able to kind of 2v2. So I think they're kind of dependent on that this game opposed to last, because they know what he can do.
Canadian Champ does get stunned in the mid lane, but there's no wave for Fuji to really kind of push too far. It didn't look like a gank so much as just kind of awkward pathing that ended up losing him enough health. Do you think the players themselves, Nutrinks and Sprinkle Me Silly, can play slow enough? As a nice flash from Fuji to get away from the stun of Alexander, but a return flash from Alexander and a flash actually from Kairos. I didn't see that, but blown 3 flashes, just a little bit of a trade. No kills yet, no first blood so far. Even gold, even CS, minus you know, a trade-off in mid and top. Where's the first aggression really going to be? All we've seen is just kind of testing the waters, but both teams playing pretty slowly, actually, as Kairos does go to in the mid lane. But here comes Canadian Champ. He gets the flea at like a perfect time, and first blood goes for Alexander, who pops the ultimate at the last moment. K's flashes forward, does have the ignite to get fresh burger. That's a 2-0 all of a sudden. Phoenix Rising, a little bit better than what we were seeing the first minutes last game.
Yeah, that's definitely a better lead than last time for them. You know, they just need to, you know, when their lanes get some picks off if they want to contest this team, because this team on the side of White Lotus is very powerful. They know what they're doing. They're all pretty comfortable in their positions as well. So they need to kind of, you know, get ahead this time and, you know, work together and shut down the right people. Because now they know who's strong on their team and who isn't, and they need to really go for those players.
They are completely even on the bot side. Now they're not completely even on the bot side, and a single kill, double kill for, oh no, Nutrinks flash forward and doesn't get the kill. He might actually get permafrosted here and might go down. He flashed forward and doesn't even get the kill. It gets stolen by Sprinkle Me Silly, and they don't get a kill back onto Kairos, although Kairos might go down to Sprinkle Me Silly. He's playing a little aggressive permafrost onto him. 1 health left on Kairos, and he does actually go down to
Minions.
Minions? Yeah, minions. That was minions. All right, I had to think about that. Unfortunate flash forward from Nutrinks. Well, I was saying, I guess I kind of cast a curse of White Lotus there. I was saying that that was their only even lane. Now it's a kind of even lane. Still a nice CS lead for Fresh Burger, however. I'm going to be kind of equalizing the kill goal because it wasn't first blood after all. But otherwise, there's still a decent lead. Canadian Champ's really farming up a storm here. Pool has to be dropped for Fresh Burger, as I mentioned it. Alexander still has a little lead. What do you feel about a Warwick out farming a Sejuani? Does that feel wrong to you?
I mean, to be fair, he has only ganked 1 lane. Sejuani, I believe she went into 2. I think I saw her mid lane a couple times, and she just went bot lane. So, unfortunately, she is a little bit behind because she's not really making that up in, assists or kills in the lanes. Like, she did gank, I believe, 3 times, and she only got 1 kill.
Yeah, died twice in 3 ganks.
Yeah,
Or
so
2
Warwick
ganks.
is playing a little bit safer than the Sejuani, which isn't the worst call to make, especially after last game.
With a kill on all of his laners at this point, and a double kill, oddly enough, on his support, does he really need to play that aggressively as he comes into the mid lane? He doesn't have flash up. He might not get the fear. Nice ultimate from Daydreams, but a really simple ult from Canadian Champ. I think he just leveled up at that moment. Daydreams is able to keep Ethereal alive, but that's just another pretty easy kill onto the bot lane duo that was so dominant last game. Would the champ picks that much of a complication for them in this draft?
I don't think that is so much of the champ picks. I just think that Warwick's trying to get, priority in that bot lane this time just to shut down Ethereal. I don't know why I have so much of a problem pronouncing his name.
Nice ult from Pyros. It's probably going to be the death of Alexander. There's not much he can do. His flash is down. He used Ghost, unfortunately. Really simple gank. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. But yeah, jungle is actually my off role, so I would be doing the same thing if I were a Canadian at this point, just, giving priority to my bot lane.
Ultimate onto Ethereal, not going to be able to kill him. He double pops his his summoners once again. Oh, the ult from Ashe does not kill him. Does go down to Sprinkle Silly. A 3rd kill, oddly enough, for Sprinkle Me Silly. And it might get a return kill for Nutrinks. He might actually get a 3rd kill. No, great ultimate from Fuji, who does roam down because he was able to get that kill on his mid laner earlier in the play. And I believe Canadian Champ is going to be able to walk this one out. That looked like a 1 fight until all of a sudden Fuji came out of nowhere, and he might actually be able to connect onto Canadian Champ. I don't think they're going to be able to give the kill away. They do actually give the kill to Fuji. Very, very nicely played. As Alexander wants to continue this play, he immediately pops Fuji with the ultimate for the shutdown. The Permafrost does pop onto him. Flash away. Kairos did use his flash, but he's able to charge forward and get the kill. That was an extremely stunning play.
Yeah, I think they know that they can get caught up at this point. Before it was like a little bit iffy if they could like get the picks that they needed, and then all of the sudden, they gained 5 kills, and you're like, what just happened? But yeah, a lot of misplays. They should have backed out earlier in the bot lane when they saw the Sejuani coming down. But even as a 3v3, like Sejuani has a more CC than the Warwick does, and you have to kind of pick and choose your fights. You had, little to no vision on the jungle, and
Ultimate was silly, but unfortunately Ethereal's actually shooting at Nutrinks. They're not going to be able to get a kill on Nutrinks, but the stun on to Sprinkle My Silly. Another kill for Ethereal. He's hyper. He's going for it. He gets the double. Nutrinks. And all of a sudden, as you're mentioning, things are really kind of turning around. It really felt like Ethereal was starting to kind of fall behind in this game. He had a little bit, it was a little bit down CS, not too bad, but he has a couple of kills down. His support, who was just a monster on Thresh, wasn't getting the kills they want. Cleanse for Fuji in the mid lane, probably going to walk out. And then all of a sudden, Ethereal's kind of just happily finished Stormrazor. He's starting to get his tier 2 boots. He's probably going to get his Zeal item here pretty soon. He has a CS lead. He has equalized the kills of ult from, wow, that was from downtown for Canadian Champ. Ultimate, unfortunately, for Nutrinks does miss as Fuji keeps himself alive, and Canadian Champ just kind of sat under the tower and trades off another kill.
Yeah, they pretty much even out their lead.
Actually, White Lotus has a gold lead. Technically.
Yeah, by like hardly anything.
That is still a gold lead, ma'am. 100 gold is still a. I would rather have 100 gold more than you. Hey, man.
Fair enough.
So okay, so now that things are a bit more equalized, who can start pushing this advantage a little bit better based on the team compositions? In an equal footing, I mean.
Well, that's actually tough. I feel like the Jinx is more of a hyper carry than the Ashe, so eventually, like later on, she will have more of an advantage. Same with the Braum, like once he gets tanky, like he can kind of peel for her more.
Free from Sprinkle Me Silly, unfortunately, is another kill for Ethereal. Didn't look like they really wanted to wait down for Freshburger as he gets ignited, and he's just, wow, he's not going to go down. Incredible empowered Q. Perfectly timed from Freshburger. But it looked like Sprinkle was Silly. I mean, he was checking a ward, but it didn't really look like Nutrix was there at all. Kind of odd play from a pretty strong support in the previous game. What's up with this Malfito?
Like I said, I just don't think he's as strong as the Braum, and you know, at this point in the game, it's very hard for him to do much. Like you have you have a point where like your mid laner is comfortable with roaming. The jungler is now prioritizing your
double ult onto the bot lane. Ethereal does get knocked up. He has the ignite. Kill Nutrix, flash away from Nutrix. I'm not sure if that was really necessary. It looked like Ethereal wanted to get the return kill. He knew he was going down, but it actually turns out to be a double kill for Nutrix. Is that the equalization that they needed? Things are going extremely even, surprisingly, this game compared to what we saw last game. At this point last game, the bot lane inhibitor was almost down. And right now we have a 1k gold lead, which is nothing for the side of Phoenix. They have 1 kill and 1 dragon as the mid laners are kind of duking it out. But actually an engagement onto Kairos. Nice tanking from the side of Sprinkle Me Silly, but it does the aggro does go into Nutrix as the kill goes over, and an easy solo kill actually all of a sudden for Alexander, who seems to be really controlling the mid lane. What is happening this game? Is this a different team? Did they just smurf in a bunch of new players?
I mean, I honestly think that they're just a little bit more comfortable with you know, what they're meant to be doing as far as dealing with the other team. Like they know that the AD carry is good. They know that
Whoa!
You know,
Sorry.
prime example. They know that that can happen, so they've been trying to deal with that accordingly before it gets too much out of hand. But unfortunately, Ethereal has his team to back him up.
Canadian Champ did get hit up by the Winter's Bite, and I think he's probably going to go down as the last hit from Ethereal. He's just doing so much damage at this point. He has Storm Arrows complete. Probably going to be getting his Zeal here first. All of a sudden, Sprinkle Silly ults on top, and he might go down. Here comes Alexander, the very strong mid laner on the side of Phoenix. I believe he still has his ultimate open if he wants to drop it, but he just kind of gets caught out of position, left to dry. But Sprinkle Silly just walks away from him. That was interesting. And it's going to be a dive onto Sprinkle Me Silly, tanked up by Kairos. He's not really that tanky. He needs to get out. He does have this ult on him, so he's going to get revived. However, I'm not sure he can get out afterwards. Do not know if the Azure is up. He is able to flash away. Nice little dive from the oddly positioned Sprinkle and Silly.
Braum's definitely doing some work now. You see him, you know, trying to get at least like the first stack of his passive off on every champion that tries to, you know, fight him and his teammates.
Another engagement from the side of the Canadian champion. He's really trying to force it, but the Braum ult is going to destroy a lot of this. This is actually a 2v1 that Phoenix Rising has opted into, and it's going to be a double kill for Ethereal. 2v3, excuse me, is what I meant to say. Very odd decision making, as it looks like Alexander wants to try and 1v1 this 7-4 Jinx, who is feeling extremely comfortable right now. Does get knocked back, but he has his Leon ult on him, and doesn't get the ultimate. But Malphite comes over the wall to shut him down. There's a lot of kills going on to this Malphite, who is building AP, by the way.
Yeah, I feel like
PogChan Malphite?
Yeah. Yep, pretty much. No, I feel like I knew that he was building AP Malphite when I saw him go the Eye of the Watchers build as a support item. Yeah, well, yeah, that thing. It builds into Eye of the Watchers. I don't know the starting items; they're not important. But yeah, so he did start out with Spell Thieves, and you know, you could tell by that he was going AP Malphite, and I feel like that's a little bit better as as you're going into late game than the tank Malphite.
Looks like a support fight in the bot lane here as Phoenix Rising is able to take up the second dragon. No Rift Herald just yet. We got 18 minutes in this game. Is Rift Herald just going to be ignored?
I feel like it might be. It just depends on like what they're trying to do top. It looks like they want to get the tower and rotate down.
A lot of members are top lane here.
Yeah, it looks like they really want this tower, and then they're gonna go on down to Rift Herald. But it looks like Phoenix Rising wants to contest it, so we might have a little fight here.
Has gone to the tower. Not sure they're gonna be able to do it. Kind of looks like Nutrient's just kind of hanging around, see if he can get some experience. And I believe the Rift Herald might have gotten started up as Nutrients gets blood boiled all of a sudden, not blood boiled, hemo plagued, and he ults in place but doesn't get out as Freshburger flashes forward for the kill. What is Blood Boil? Is that a different game? I think it's a different game. Ultimate from Kairos. Not going to really do much to stop the Rift Herald going down. Whoa, where did Alexander come from? Absolutely defeats Ethereal, who is the main damage source for the team. Canadian Champ does go down, but he was able to pick up the Rift Herald. I think that was all he was really looking to do. He kind of knew he was dead. Alexander with a great flank there just deletes the entire damage source of White Lotus. That can't happen.
Yeah, as long as Syndra is really good about like putting her orbs down in a timely manner, I feel like she's at a point where she can kind of take out Jinx, because I'm pretty sure that the Braum shield blocks the ulti, but he has to be paying attention to the Syndra and not paying attention to the rest of the team in order to properly block that. That's going to be really hard for him because he wants to proc his passive off on as many players as he can.
It's going to force it to Zane ult, but I'm not sure they want any more. But it does look like Freshburgers might be caught out here. Ultimate from Casey does go in. He gets a single kill. He might get the second kill. Malphite gets another kill. Amazingly, Zilean has used his ultimate, but Ethereal has respawned finally. And he's here to clean up this fight. He gets one. He gets two. Perhaps. He gets two. A 4-for-2 for the side of White Lotus. That looked like a great engagement. What was so wrong for Phoenix?
Well, I feel like just like Braum being able to get his passive off, like he got it off on, I believe, like 3 of the champions that were there. So that really helps his teammates just secure those kills, and that's part of the reason why Braum is such a strong support right now.
And there's the delayed ace for Ethereal. He's under tower. He is unabashedly 2 items, ready to just take. He's taken over this game at this point. It's already a 2,000 gold lead, excuse me, as he does have to flash away. Alexander might be able to pop him. The Zilean ult, just went away at the very last second. Unfortunate for Ethereal, as Zilean doesn't have his ult. He does get engaged on by 3 the side of Phoenix. It looks like Phoenix is really trying to force this back. With Alexander up, with Alexander ready to get a pop onto Ethereal, onto Fuji, it looks a lot better for the side of Phoenix.
Yeah, I feel like this game, they really tried to get a comp that could really shut down Ethereal. Like, they have the Syndra who can pretty much 1-0 him. They have the Warwick who can jump on and suppress him. They have the Malphite who can jump in and ult him. Like, they realized that he was one of the main issues from last game, and they want to deal with him just so he can't get too out of control.
Down to 3k health. Kairos is on the side. He does ult. He doesn't have vision, though. The Emo Plague comes over, and Kairos does not get it. Canadian Champ is able to take the Baron away, as Kaze does dive in with the ult. He's probably going to die for that, though. A little bit aggressive. 2 down on the side of Phoenix. They did get the Baron. Not sure they're going to get anything out of this anymore. I don't think Canadian Champ is able to kill his counterpart. Wow, nice kill for Alexander, who's really got Ethereal number as the game goes later and later. Baron was picked up for the price of 2, with 1 kill traded over. Worth trade, ma'am?
I think it was worth, because at this point, like, White Lotus, they could do a lot of damage just to like structures with that Baron buff, and they could easily like dominate in fights. So I think that sending Canadian Champ in there to steal that Baron was a great call. Like, he did secure it, and the team did go ahead and rotate mid to protect their tower, and like right now it all looks good for the side of Phoenix Rising. Like, they're actively pushing out their lanes, and they're recovering very well from the lost team fight.
Rift Herald summon in the top lane as well. Kairos was very close to stealing that Baron. It looked like just about 600, 700 health was left on it. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to take it. It probably would have turned things for his team a lot more, but Kairos actually going to get caught up here. I'm not sure what he was doing top lane as 4 of Phoenix rotate on him. He really wanted to stop that Rift Herald, but it's a tier 1 tower. What are you doing there, my boar riding friend? I prefer Poro Rider. It's cuter.
Yeah, I have Poro Rider.
I really want Poro Rider. Top tier 2 does go down on the side of Phoenix. They still have Baron buff for quite some time. Are they going to be able to get an inhibitor turret here? There's 20 more seconds, 15 seconds on Cairo.
I feel like if A3O were to step out of position, like step a little bit too far forward, then maybe Alexander over there could, 1-0 him. But I feel like they're just gonna back off. Like, it's not really worth it because they could potentially lose that fight. Just with A3O sitting under tower like that, it's not really a fight that you wanna pick just because they have like that little bit of extra defense there.
Yep. I do want to point out the really early Morello Nomicon for Alexander, completely trying to negate the Vladimir's healing and potentially the later healing from Ethereal as he looks for lifesteal. I like the itemization there, very intelligent. As another dragon, a second Cloud Drake is picked up for Phoenix. They can rotate really, really rapidly. Baron buff should be over here pretty soon. But they did pretty well with it. They have a 2K lead. They have a tower lead. No one ever just yet. Whoa! Where did Ethereal just go? Utterly blown up by that AP mountain dude.
Malphite.
Malphite that we were kind of making fun of earlier. He does a lot of damage with 2 items all of a sudden. Maybe those kills going over to him weren't so bad. He just 100-0'd Ethereal.
Yeah, AP Malphite isn't a bad pick. It's just, like, I'm not huge on it as far as supports go. Like, seeing that mid is, I think, a lot better of an idea, but I mean, it's working out for them, so kudos to them for that pick.
Though, is what I curiously wonder.
Well, I mean, we just saw A3O get blown up by that, so I think that answers your question.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, however, is that we have Aurelia, a Syndra, and an Ashe. My doggo friend over here, very much of a tank. Although he's building tank E, he's not, like a true tank. We have a true tank in Malphite, but we're not utilizing it. Just because, again, PogChamp gonna kill Ethereal, or damned if we don't.
Maybe they just feel like running more damage is a little bit better idea. Just so, like, they could all, kind of take part on taking out the other team. Because, tanks, they're just kind of there to peel. But,
yep.
If you're doing damage, then why do you need peel?
Trying to engage from the kind of the side. A little bit of weird decision making there. Not sure what he was looking for. Didn't really have anyone behind him. But some easy wave clear from the side of Alexander and crew. They keep this tier 1 alive. What are we looking for? We don't have Baron for a minute. We don't have Dragon for a minute. Not a little minute. Oh, an ultimate actually in from Strictly Silly. Does not get Ethereal. Ethereal's still alive. He gets his Leon ult. Can he turn this around? Ethereal's again in the backline. He flashes out. He does all incredible damage on the kill. He is able to get 1 kill. He's able to get a double kill. Can he get a triple kill as Alexander tries to take him out? Alexander is unable to get him. Gold's golden all of a sudden. Finally gets shut down by Alexander, but there's 4 dead on the side of Phoenix Rising, only 2 dead on the side of White Lotus. Ethereal never died. He absolutely lived for so long. Flash forward from Alexander. Not sure what he's doing. He's going to get ace all of a sudden, but he does get a kill on to Fuji. That's 3 kills for the price of 5. Huh.
Yeah, they just didn't focus the Jinx on that one. Like, the Jinx shouldn't live for that long. If you're gonna go all in and team fight like that, then you need to take out the ones that are doing the most damage. And on the side of White Lotus, it's 100% the Jinx that's doing the most damage.
What is the cooldown timer on Sprinkle Me Silly's ultimate?
Sprinkle me silly? I'm actually not sure.
He just did it again. He started off that fight and then just did a top lane as Freshburger is going to get engaged on. He doesn't have pool. He is going to go down. Well, he's going to use his Zonias and then go down. Nothing but delaying the inevitable. He might get to return kill. He does not. Another kill for Sprinkle Me Silly. He was actually 8, 7, and 10. That's a pretty high scoreline for a support. Unfortunately, although White Lotus did an incredible amount of kills and an incredible amount of damage, they only got one tier 2 mid tower out of that. They didn't get the bot lane tier 1. They didn't get the top lane tier 1. They give up another kill. That ended up in the extended bit play being a 4 for 5 and 1 tower that really looked like it should have been some game-ending damage, and they're still down 2k gold.
I just think that, you know, it's a little bit too close for them to, you know, get multiple towers like that and, you know, get very far ahead like they did last time on the side of White Lotus.
They can't
you know,
yet
with a
go
closer,
for
with a close game like this, you don't really want to like overextend and like get too much, because you can very well pay for it with like, you know, a team fight where like one of your members just isn't there because they're like off doing something else. Like, you know, just at this point, it's not something I feel like is worth doing.
So the dust is slightly settling. What I was saying before that big 5v5 that ended up being 9 kills was what does each team need to do to advance the game? Baron is up now. Dragon will be up soon, so it's a little bit different than the situation we had earlier. Baron probably is the focal point here, right? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Maybe so?
I believe
Up,
so.
down, left, right?
Yeah, I would definitely, like, you can see like the team.
Another Malphite out from Sprinkle Me Silly. It's going to immediately delete Daydreams. And unfortunately, if Kairos goes down, that might free Baron. Kairos does get away. That's a 1 kill. And Kairos actually is going to get engaged on. He is going to go down almost instantly, stunned up. Zeline ult pops him, keeps him alive. He doesn't go down just yet as Ethereal jumps over the wall on top of Canadian Champ. The junglers cannot die here. It's going to be a free Baron for the other side of the team. Fuji does not have his ultimate. He does have his cleanse, but he's going to go down without a tower. Is this potentially a Baron for the side of Phoenix and Stat's team? Is this the first Baron that's going to be taken against White Lotus?
I believe it will be. You know, 2 of their players have to back. They're a little bit low. Jinx, I believe, lost her GA. Does she have a GA? Yeah, she lost her GA in that last fight, I believe. I think so.
I don't think it was. It should show up on the icon.
Oh, yep. No, it wasn't my fault. So yeah, but I mean, they did. I would say they lost that fight. Like, you know, Sejuani, she had to leave. You know, they got 2 picks off in the jungle. It's just
looks like the 4th
hard to
dragon for the side of Phoenix as soon as they get that Baron buff. Although they might not want to be able to go for it just yet. They are kind of wasting their Baron buff a little bit. They're waiting for their Sprinkle Me Silly to get here for another nice ultimate engage. He does have flash up in about a second or 2. A lot of Baron buffs getting used here. Is this really worth the time for their 4th Drake?
You know, I think that it is worth it to get that Infernal Drake, but I don't think it's worth it with the Baron buff unless they can, you know, get it relatively quickly, which
Kairos does go in, but he gets knocked right out. His Sprinkle Silly ultimate's on top of him. That's a double kill for Alexander almost instantly. The Guardian Angel there does get popped. As Canadian Champ is able to take Ethereal. A 4th kill for K's. Almost a full wipe. I was questioning whether the Dragon was even worth it for the side of Phoenix. Was it worth it to contest it from White Lotus? They just gave up 4 kills, another tower, and an Infernal Drake.
Yeah, I feel like they should get the inhibitor here. Maybe even a Nexus turret.
There's 20 seconds left on the main carry for the side of White Lotus. 4 people are dead right now. Fuji does have his ultimate, but that's about it. He can only probably delay for a second or 2. 12 more seconds on Ethereal. That is who they need alive as the last tower is going to go down. Flash forward onto Fuji, knocks him out. Here's the Nexus. We have a tied game, 1-1. Phoenix does take the 2nd game. Interesting turn around. couple of quick thoughts as we think about the next game. Was that was that a bit of a throw there towards the end?
I don't think that it was so much of a throw. I just think that this time Phoenix Rising did a really good job of staying, at least like if not ahead, then like even with White Lotus or not too far behind. So I think that this time with focusing their AD carry on the side of White Lotus and making sure that they take him out as quickly as possible, that really helped them like stay even with White Lotus, who's been dominating in their games. So we do know that Aetherial, he has high win rates on every AD carry he plays. He knows what he's doing on the AD carry he plays, and yet we don't see a lot of teams focusing him down and taking him out. They just kind of let him sit in the backline and do what he needs to do, but there's no like heavy engaged champions that'll go in and like, if not half health him, then one shot him.
Yeah,
and
it seemed like most of the draft for Phoenix was just to kill Aetherial.
Yeah. You saw the Syndra, you saw the AP Malphite, and we also had the Warwick. So those three champions made sure that Aetherial did absolutely nothing all game, and that's what they need to work on as far as team comp goes this game as well. Is just shutting him down, not letting him do anything, not letting him get ahead in lane, just not giving him the lead that he needs to completely like run over your team.
It seemed kind of unfortunate that the opposite side of the draft for White Lotus was built around completely Aetherial. I mean, they even had a Zillion mid who can do some damage, but most of those ults are mainly going onto Aetherial. So if Aetherial does die, what do you do then? Vlad never really got going. He never really had those massive engagements with the Hemo Plague that we like to see on the 5-man, and all of a sudden Vlad has a pentakill. We were really looking towards Aetherial, who was very successfully shut down. He did get quite a few kills. He was doing a lot of damage, but he was not able to really pop off in team fights. If he wasn't dead, he was locked up in some way or form.
Yeah, and that's what Phoenix needs to look for again this game, is just making sure that he can't do anything. Like you've seen in the past, like White Lotus, they basically like at least half their team is built around Aetherial to where like it helps him out and make sure that like he can secure those kills. Well, at the same time, like when you build around an AD carry that can't do anything, your team can't do anything. And I think Phoenix Rising might have been able to figure that out in the first game, because they did a great job in the second game of like, making sure that absolutely nothing happened.
Yeah. Okay. So as we jump into draft, you're mentioning that a lot of it is shut down with Aetherial. Does this need to mean that we need to change the drafting status of White Lotus a lot, as Phoenix Rising does first ban Aatrox? I think it's a smart ban. But do we need to draft a little bit more aggressively around Aetherial, like Zillion again, for instance, or do we need to back off from that as we're worried that Aetherial is going to be shut down?
Honestly, on the side of White Lotus, I feel like they're just going to try to ban out the ones that could possibly make sure that Aetherial is completely shut down. As I say that, there goes the Malphite. You saw that he was a major problem mid to late game, just jumping on Aetherial constantly. So that ban is completely understandable on the side of White Lotus. And I feel like maybe even a Syndra ban might come out either next or their third ban. Just because like you can't risk having the one who's essentially carrying your team get wiped constantly.
That's a third Xayah ban in a row.
Yeah, that's his main. So he has, I think, a 76% win rate on Xayah, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we have a stats team that could probably figure that out. As Swain gets banned on the side of White Lotus, I like a Xayah ban as well. However, he still played fine on Jinx. He was just shut down. It wasn't the champion that was much of the issue, at least in my opinion. However, Xayah ultimate could have gotten out of a lot of things, and Ezreal E could have gotten a lot of other things. But maybe Jinx is so stationary that it invited something like an AP Malphite support. As Yasuo does again get banned by White Lotus, 3 Yasuo bans for them, and a third ban of Alistar for the side of Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they picked up the Syndra first here, but it looks like they want the Warwick. I feel like the Syndra is doing a little bit more burst damage to that Jinx, and it might be a thing that you want to keep, but well, with the Morgana pick, they might still be able to, pick that up. And we do see Morgana Jhin, which I believe is a wonderful combo bot lane if that is a Morgana support.
That will be, if it is a Morgana support, the first support lane, or range support lane that we've had this series. We've had a lot of tanks, a lot of engagement bot lane with the Braum, the Thresh, and the Malphite. What does this signal to you, assuming it's bot lane Morgana?
I feel like if it is a bot lane Morgana, that they're just gonna, kind of play safe back under tower because, Jhin is a long-range AD carry that can do damage from very far away, and just sitting kind of under tower kind of ensures that, if they do get ganked, that it will at least be a trade because, you're gonna have people diving under your tower for you. And, on the side of Phoenix Rising, if that's the case, they need to kind of weigh whether or not that's really worth it, is to send like 2 or 3 players under tower just for the Jhin, just to get, Morgana queued and then perma CC'd under the tower until you get, 3 or 4 tower shots and end up dying. So I feel like it's definitely a safe pick on the side of, but I'm not really sure if, Phoenix Rising can shut down the Jhin like they did the last time, just because I feel like it's going to be a more passive lane.
Sure, that makes sense. I want to mention that Sivir and Aurelia were picked up on the side of Phoenix Rising. Happy to see Sivir because that means that we're getting into Worlds meta. On the other side of things, Darius for White Lotus. It's the first time it hasn't gotten banned out, but it's usually banned in the second rotation. So it looks like White Lotus is prioritizing it a little bit earlier in the draft, as Gragas and Orianna do get banned on both sides. I've been seeing a lot of Gragas recently, a lot of a flex pick, which actually Aurelia is a flex pick, now that I mentioned it. Any bans that you need to see from either side? Syndra.
Yep, there's the Syndra ban that I mentioned earlier. Personally, if I were on White Lotus, I would have pushed for that to be in the first rotation bans, but I mean, it worked out for them because they didn't pick up the Syndra earlier on. And to kind of get them back, they went ahead and ban their top laner or mid laner from last time, the Zilean.
Yeah, it looks like it's just kind of a give up of both mid laners from either side, just kind of getting rid of the other one. Did feel like Zilean was keeping Ethereal alive a little bit longer than he deserved to. Ooh, Nocturne, one of the homies I've been rolling with in my games. I have a 95% win rate on him because he's very well balanced. I've played 15 games so far, and I think I've lost 1. How do you feel about the Nocturne in this extremely damage-heavy composition with Darius, Jhin, and Morgana?
Honestly, if like my women's intuition is correct, and I feel that they're gonna play like a passive or reactive bot lane with the Jhin Morgana, then I think it's gonna be just fine. Like the Nocturne, he's able to come in from behind, and gank from a very far away distance there. So I feel like they're gonna sit back, let them push up, and then the Nocturne's gonna come in and gank, get the Jhin ahead early on, and then he'll be able to scale extremely well into late game. And I feel like that's kind of what they're aiming for bot lane.
So another interesting draft from Phoenix, who drafted pretty standardly the first game, lost horribly, drafted pretty oddly in the second game, won solidly. Now they're drafting oddly once more. They have an Aurelia, Nivea, Cho'Gath as the last 3 picks. Where do you think everyone's going as Zoe does get picked in for mid lane? I love Zoe. She's very much fun to watch. I play her a lot when I do play mid lane. Is this Aurelia going top? Is it going mid? Is it going support?
I think they're just trying to switch up last second here. Yep. Okay, so apparently that's a Cho'Gath support.
Does not have the same engage.
No, but he does have a wonderful silence and a knock up. So hopefully that little bit amount of CC will work in Sivir's favor in the bot lane. But like I said before, I think that they're just going to play a little bit passively, and it's going to be very hard to engage on the Jhin Morgana. Now, Jhin Morgana is more of a reactive lane. So it depends solely on, Morgana either landing her Q or pooling and Jin landing his root. So whatever lands on that side is like they're gonna react to it. And I feel like that's a very safe way to play, and it would like I would play that way after losing and because I've got shut down the previous game, I would want to play more either passively or reactively, and that seems to be what they're going for. They could easily play a little bit more aggressively if they do get ahead, because Morgana can play both passively and aggressively, same with Jin. It's just kind of like up to you, but typically it's passive or reactive laning phase.
Is this the upset?
Excuse me?
Is this the upset?
I might be. I hope
That
so.
is quite the I need you to make a decision.
I'm sorry, you cut out.
I need you to make a decision. Is it or is it not the upset?
I think they're a little bit salty.
Drum roll. Who is going to win this final match?
Yeah, let's ask Twitch. Twitch, who do you think is going to win this wonderful little matchup here? Will it be Team Phoenix Rising or will it be White Lotus? Will they be taken down? Let us know in the wonderful little stream chat there.
Unbelievably, the vast majority, believably, of the viewers do want to watch White Lotus win. They've got an 80% vote rate for White Lotus. We need to see a little bit more support for our Phoenix Rising friends. I cannot believe Quasar's completely bailed on my question there. She did not want to give me a straightforward answer. I'm calling it. It's the upset. White Lotus is going down in week 3. Thank you all for hanging with us for the time being. We're going to throw it to an advertisement. See you when the game starts. Don't you touch that browser.
Operate Games XP in Decorah, Iowa. Games XP is a geek paradise. We carry everything from Pong and Atari all the way to Xbox One and PS4, and all the games that would go with those consoles as well. We also carry a ton of movies. We have handheld games. We have Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon. We have D&D and Pathfinder. We carry Warhammer 40K. We have a vintage Star Wars selection. This place is great. My wife and I have had 6 kids, and they are so much fun to work with here at the store. They run the store as much as I do.
And we now repair cell phones, game consoles, computers, and small electronics.
Our store is instant fun. Not only is there cool music and cool stuff to look at, but we have a game room that is so much fun. It's free to play, and you just plug in your game system and enjoy life. The Game XP motto is bringing joy to people's lives through our products, people, and a place to play. So you have got to come to Decorah, Iowa, and check out Games XP and experience this geek gaming paradise.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome back, Summoners! I'm Hickory, I'm with Quasars. It's Game 3 of White Lotus versus Phoenix Rising. We have a series on our hands. White Lotus is going down. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. I mean, in Phoenix Rising, they showed that they can come back and put up a wonderful fight if given the opportunity, and they were given the opportunity. So I feel like this game is gonna be a lot more even like last game. Like we saw Phoenix Rising come back and, you know, pull out a win, the first loss on the side of White Lotus. So I feel like they can very well do that a second time and take White Lotus down if they really want this game.
I hate to interrupt you, but my stats team has informed me that it is the second game loss on the side of White Lotus. They have not lost a series so far, but the previous game, while impressive from Phoenix Rising, was actually the second loss on White Lotus. The Kings can bleed. They were looking for a 5-man invade, but decided to off it, as Phoenix Rising has been very intelligent about these invades so far. And again, a pretty comfortable start for both teams. Sprinkle Me Silly has Spell Thieves. That means he's never going to get ultimate stacks.
Yeah, we see a lot of damage coming out early on from the Anivia onto the Zoe. We saw the stun land and a couple auto attacks get traded.
Oh, don't you worry. That fun, whimsical little thing in the mid lane will be quite fine in just a level or two. Although the first level 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, it's kind of annoying. But after that point, you start just kind of one-shotting people and wondering. Then you ask yourself, why am I still in Silver League? And it's because, well, you're bad. So I'm still curious about this Spell Thief on Shogath, because I feel like if he went Shield, he could ultimate on minions to get his stacks up and not be screwing over his teammate at all. Also, how is he going to get Spell Thief stacks as a Sleepy Trouble Bubble does hit onto Alexander? The Paddle Star does pop him down to about a quarter health. That's just way too much damage as the Electrocute does pop. Scary, scary lane for our slow birdie friend. But it's the bot lane that I'm curious about.
Let's see. Well, the Spell Thieves does proc off of abilities landed as well. So as long as Cho'Gath's, landing is knockout, landing is silence, then I believe he should get 10 gold off of those. Yep.
Well, he just got some gold right there.
So that's how that would work out. That way he's not taking minions from his wonderful AD carry. And
however, can you guarantee, like, I'm just curious as to I'll get back to this. We'll get back to this. I'm so distraught right now that I can't even think. Kairos is getting his Krugs. Interesting pathing from him. Blue to Grump to Krugs. His stun does land on the Fresh Burgers. Not sure Kaze has the damage here just yet, but here comes the flash farm. Canadian Bacon does flee away the Fresh Burger farther in, but the first blood really early this game. Here comes Kairos. I don't think he has anything for this. He does have flash. I'm not sure he's going to want to go as the stun misses from Craze. Doesn't even get Spell Thief as a teleport coming over from Fresh Craze. Get out of there, Craze! Nice first blood to the side of Phoenix Rising. A little bit of trade onto the mid lane. Actually, Ignite that's probably going to get... I'm not sure why he flashed.
Oh, he has egg.
Yeah, but he didn't need flash forward there. Well, he got the kill. A solo kill on the side of Alexander. Going to keep that Zoe down a little bit longer. 2 kills so far on the side of Phoenix Rising. A little bit of a gold lead. And here comes Kairos. He really wants to punish this no egg, no flash mid laner. But actually, he gets walled off very nicely. And no spell shield for the side of Kairos. He's going to take some damage here, but he does get out with a nice fear. Nocturne feels so good to play.
I would like to point out that I think that the Sivir is a very good pick into the Jhin Morgana bot lane, because she can block both the Morgana Q and the Jhin root with her spell shield. So that's like that's a little bit of protection on the side of Sivir there, and she gets some lovely mana return from that as well.
Thank you very much for that quick stat Mr. Quasars, I love the thought process. As soon as Nutrix purposely does not block a route for his teammate, I was saying that I like the Sivir so much because World's meta is so predictable. It's a crit-based ADC and a tank top laner. Sivir being one of the prime examples. Root does miss on a Sprinkle Me. Nice little dodge there, but it is gets rooted once again. Ignited as well. Flash forward from Ethereal. Don't think it's the damage. And a fake flash from the side of Fuji gets a nice paddle star on to Alexander. But here comes that doggo, but he's not feeling it. Down a level on his opponent mid laner. Looking for an apprehend top lane, but it does not go. Actually, quite a bit of a CS lead. Freshberg was able to hold his lane in 3 games, even when ganked multiple times. He has had a CS lead. Very, very impressive out of the top laner for White Lotus.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, like, you know, in like the lower end of Plat Elo, that the CS is actually a big deal. You know, just like 20 of them can be the difference between like half an item. So it's good to know how to do that. And if you ever have some free time, you know, maybe hop in a bot game or something with like intermediate and practice your CSing under some lane pressure there to help you out in games.
20
and then,
is a kill.
Yeah.
There is more gold on Freshburger right now than praise by like 10, but there is more gold.
Yeah.
Which is an unfortunate situation, especially for a no TP crazy. He hasn't taken TP once. Root does land on this Break Me Silly. Here comes Kairos. He's going to be able to pick up the kill really, really easily. Back out with the Black Shield. Very, very nice play. He was actually sitting in Tri-Bush for some time. He cleared out a ward there, I believe with a pink ward, or maybe it just must have died. And he was waiting on that play for some time. Gets a nice kill back to get a small gold lead for his team.
Yeah, I feel like with the Cho'Gath support there, Aetherial and Daydreams are just kind of like, yeah, you don't really matter. And they're just playing a little bit more aggressively than they had maybe originally intended to, if that was the way that they were going to go. But I have noticed that they have been pushed up to at least where the river begins the entire game, so they're not backing down as far as lane positioning goes.
Back in top lane, another pretty good trade from the side of Freshburgers, giving him even more pressure. Again, I mentioned there's no teleport for the side of Craze. That CS lead is just going to keep ballooning and ballooning. Palstar does not hit for Fuji mid lane, unfortunately. Alexander very comfortably hits level 6 on the Anivia, and you basically hit R for the next 30 minutes of the game. And eventually you do some damage. As a Palstar does actually pop him. Sleeping Bubble Toll does hit. I'm not sure this kill potential here as another Palstar does go and almost pops the egg there, but nothing just yet. As a second root does hit onto Sprinkle Me Silly from the side of Ethereal. A nice solo dragon actually kind of snuck there from Canadian Champ when his bot lane did not have priority, nor did his mid lane. A little bit aggressive there from Canadian Champ, but he's unpunished as he picks up the Cloud Drake, the first Drake of the game. Was that a little bit just of a misplay when the entirety of the map for White Lotus has a pressure? Flash forward, actually, an ultimate for Daydreams is going to stun up Nutrix, but he flashed away and ulted away. A little bit of an aggressive play, just kind of a trade of flashes and ults. What do we think of there?
I'm not entirely sure, but it does look like the Warwick wants some Morgana booty, because he just went in for that, unfortunately. Well, maybe not too unfortunately, but the Cho'Gath did pick up a kill off that. We did see that he was able to kind of scale last game, so he might be looking for the same thing to happen this game. So maybe it's not the worst thing that he picked up that kill.
Curtain call was pulled at the end of that fight, but not much to be seen there. Unfortunately, your directed camera goes to the person who is curtain calling as opposed to the person getting curtain called. I didn't realize that. Thoughts for later. No kills for the side of Ethereal outside of that one trade kill on Canadian Champ. Wall and stun forces the real flash from Fuji in the mid lane. Nice trade from Alexander. He really aggressively uses his flash earlier, but he has it back up, and his opponent does not anymore. But there is a big CS lead in the mid lane. And once again, that kill doesn't really matter as much as the kill in top lane does not matter. A bit of a CS lead for Kairos. Canadian Champ was farming up a storm last game, while Kairos was kind of ganking a little bit more. I feel like Kairos has been in lanes as much as Canadian Champion, but Canadian Champion's been falling behind in the CS. Where is this this farm difference coming from?
I feel like maybe, you know, when Karos has been ganking, that he's maybe picked up a couple, you know, CS from his laners here and there. Because when you gank that much, you have to realize that you do need to tax your laners, as unfortunately as that may be for your laners. Taxation is theft, junglers, remember that. But you do have to kind of compensate, especially if you're not picking up those kills. And Kaios did, or Kario, sorry, did get one. So taxation, maybe not a priority, but it does seem that Warwick just got caught up. So maybe he might be looking for a gank now that he's kind of matched with Karios right now.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble does hit in the mid lane, same with the Paddle Star, and the ultimate actually doesn't bring Fuji anywhere except for still into Alexander's ultimate. He's going to go down here. The Paranoia does get popped onto Nutrix, doesn't have flash, but he does get out amazingly, but a nice root pops out with Daydreams, but Nutrix is able to get a return kill. The curtain is called, but only one shot's going to hit, as two from the side of Phoenix Rising are dropping down to the mid lane. A big ult, wow, really impressively positioned there. Flash forward from Alexander is going to be able to drop the ult onto Ethereal, get Daydreams, 2 kills down. Really, really nice return on the side of Phoenix, who was engaged upon. You were saying that White Lotus needs to be the one reacting. White Lotus forced that fight as hard as they could and ended up in the extended play down 4 kills with Fuji dying solo in mid lane.
Yeah, like I said, like Jhin Morgana, it can be played aggressive if you're ahead, but you mostly want to play either passively or reactively and wait for like the Morgana Q to land or for the Jhin root to land after proccing off of the Morgana W, I believe. But unfortunately, they decided to be aggressive.
The Sleepy Bubble does hit in the mid lane, but the first tower did go down. Bot side, about a 1k gold lead here for the side of Phoenix. Pretty comfortable. Nothing, nothing amazing just yet, but they're starting to get some items. We have a Rod of Ages for Miss Anivia, the Storm Razor for our Sivir 8 crit ADC. Here a stun does land on Fresh Burger. The ultimate as well comes out of Crazy. He hasn't used his Ignite just yet. He's just returning onto him when W goes, but here comes Sprinkle Mystelia. That's probably going to be at the end of it, as the Ignite is not going to be enough to kill him. Rotation from the side of Phoenix Rising as the bot lane does come top. Getting Crazy out of there. That's probably why he was all-in so hard. So he knew that his bot lane was coming, and he just wanted to kind of push his opponent out. As Ethereal's really trying to push out this wave bot lane, but there's not much he can really do, especially against Anivia. Teleport top lane is going to stop this play, however.
It looks like White Lotus has sent 4 people top lane to contest the 3 that are pushing. But unfortunately for them, Phoenix Rising does have a little bit of vision in that bush, so they're going to poke down Fuji before he can really get there.
Phoenix has been upping their vision game quite a lot since we mentioned the, I believe, first game. They started to really see rotations a lot better. They were able to out-rotate even on the previous play without any vision control at all. I believe White Lotus on the last play in the bot lane only backed off simply because they didn't know where anyone was. But we have a 2-0 and a 2-0 for Anivia and Sivir, respectively. Both the carriers are feeling pretty comfortable. The CS lead has actually been taken over from main champ, as Nutrix does have to ult to get away. Nice spell shield to keep him from getting rooted up, or he probably would have died there. 14 minutes into the game, are we trying to get this Rift Herald as Phoenix Rising?
Well, White Lotus does have a lot of vision control around that, so before they could even really attempt to go for it, they really need to work on clearing that out. So I think that right now it might be doable on the side of White Lotus, but with Phoenix Rising just having a lack of vision, it wouldn't really be a good idea. And it looks like they're going to go for the Ocean Drake because they do know that Morgana, Jhin, and Darius were top lane. So,
and I sure hope they're giving it to their Cho'Gath buddy, who's going to get his first ultimate stack.
I believe so.
Oof. That feels bad. That's the second dragon being taken by Phoenix Rising, and not a lot of pressure for the side of White Lotus. What do they need to do to start getting back in this lane as Fuji does get engaged on the mid lane? Probably not going to be a kill, but what does White Lotus need to do to start kind of getting their lead back solidly in this game?
Well, they've already gone ahead and tried to get better vision control around the Rift Herald, which is definitely a start, but I feel like they just need to try to catch members of Phoenix Rising out and get some picks off and maybe try to split push and get some towers, but it looks like White Lotus is, or sorry, not White Lotus, Phoenix Rising is really, you know, about to rotate and contest them because they don't want to get really far behind like they did in the first game. So their rotations are actually pretty on point this game.
Paranoia on to Nutrix. He goes away from way, doesn't actually get feared. The curtain call isn't going to come up with anything. It might be a tower, but the wave is actually gone. That's the second kind of curious ultimate coming out of Kairos. Not feeling potentially not feeling as comfortable on this spooky dude as he was on the tanks in previous games. Is this a bit of a misdraft for him, or is it just kind of not feeling this game?
I'm actually not sure. Like, he very well might be a little bit tilted from the last game. We did see that Phoenix Rising came on top when White Lotus was probably expecting them not to do very much.
Canadian Champion does ultimate in, but he's really, really low, and he's going to go down in 4v2. All of a sudden, return kill for Nutrix onto Kairos, who is still feeling probably comfortable, and actually an ultimate on Spring does get a second kill. It ends up going to be a 2-4-3 and the extended play, but that's going to be a tower in the bot lane because Freshburger is feeling mad. He's just going to split push as much as you want. Flash forward out of Alexander. Not sure it's going to be ending up as much to anything else, but the bot lane tower did go down. Looks like kind of a win for White Lotus there.
Yeah, I really did, I believe, go to help top lane, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think they pretty much evened out that fight. So, it might be worth on the side of Phoenix Rising, but I don't think we'll be able to tell.
Was that the pressure that White Lotus needed, or is it just kind of equalizing point? The lead for Phoenix wasn't too massive.
I honestly think that the Darius split pushing is definitely helping because as we noticed, like White Lotus, they're kind of they've kind of been grouping up recently, just to ensure that like no one really gets picked off as easily. But at the same time, you know, having Darius split pushing bot lane and Irelia not really being able to contest it very well is definitely gonna be a little bit problematic on the side of Phoenix Rising there.
What are the next steps then? You might have mentioned them a little bit, but like we don't have gone in about 2 minutes. Do we like? We were talking earlier about this Rift Herald, but the division's been contested pretty hotly, but no one's really gone for it just yet. Or is it just kind of a wash as the bot lane from White Lotus is engaging onto Alexander, who does get rooted up? But he's probably going to be out of here just yet. Is White Lotus trying to get onto this Rift Herald, or are they just kind of keeping Phoenix from getting it? It doesn't seem like White Lotus is terribly comfortable to start it up.
Yeah, I don't think really that White Lotus is trying to get it. I think they're just trying to make sure that Phoenix Rising doesn't. You know, because it's kind of like been a little bit more of a priority for White Lotus and you know, in their series, just trying to get it to push out a wave. You get a couple towers, but like, you know, Phoenix Rising has definitely proven that they can get objectives, and I think that White Lotus is just kind of making sure that they don't get objectives.
Single paddle star with no bubble on to Nutrix, gets rid of the ADC as Canadian Champ does ultimate on to Daydreams. Where's Paranoia coming into? Paranoia is coming from downtown onto the very squishy Sprinklingly Silly, who does get popped by Ethereal. He has one more shot, doesn't get the double kill as he is picked up by Kairos, and a solo kill for the side of Fuji as everything kind of goes insane. Alexander shuts down Fuji. I don't believe, however, Ethereal was able to clean it up. He actually do pop the egg. I'm not sure if they can get this done yet. They don't have anything to root him up. They do root him up with Ethereal's root, and kind of an odd positioning here, as looks like Alexander's just completely out of position. He does get rooted by Daydreams. They're trying to probably give over the kill to Ethereal, but it might not be possible. They do not get it at the very end. Daydreams is able to pick it with the Ignite. They really wanted to give it over to Ethereal, who was 4-1-4 all of a sudden. Not able to do it just so far, as Fresh Burgers has just been slowly and surely fighting in the bot lane. He does not care about anything but the split push. He has a Flame Horizon, which he has very comfortably taken after the first few minutes of the game, which are a little bit uncomfortable for him. Things starting to look up for White Lotus, even though it was a little bit of a rocky start.
Yeah, I think that if Phoenix Rising really wants to win this game, then they do need to somehow figure out how they're going to siege those towers, how they're going to get those objectives, because right now it does seem like White Lotus has, map priority over Phoenix Rising. Like, it looks like they've got wards on the dragon, might be trying to go for that. They're getting vision in the river. They're clearing vision in the river. So White Lotus is definitely upping up their vision opposed to last game, for sure.
It did seem like, although they had a lot of vision game, they kind of did get a little last days ago in the previous game. Paddlestar does go on Alexander, who does not have his bubble, but where did Ethereal go? He's utterly disintegrated. The craze goes into the ult, but here comes Darius. He dunks once, he dunks twice. He flashes forward into the fight. He does not have his ultimate anymore, but he's going to rout the enemy team. 2 for 2 so far, and might be the end of the fight. It looked so good for Phoenix, but all of a sudden, Fresh Burger said, I'm tired of split pushing. I'm here to fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that, at this point in the game, that Phoenix Rising has the damage to deal with the Darius. And they don't have that potential related to, 1-0 both, or like all of the high damage dealers on the side of White Lotus. Like, they have the Nocturne coming in doing a lot of damage, they have the Zoe that can one-shot their AD carry, and they have the Jhin who's outputting a lot of consistent damage. And right now they can't deal with all three at the same time. So
Bubble on
team fighting
to Alexander, as Fuji wants to get the Paddlestar onto him. I don't think they can really kill anyone just yet, but actually Dave really feeling this. There's not an AP side of Phoenix Rising. Flash forward from Ethereal, does get the kill. Actually, it was an ultimate from Fuji, excuse me. Ethereal now 5-2-5. 1-4-10 on Daydream. He's actually been everywhere. He's a part of 11 of 14 fights. As you mentioned, there's so much damage on the side of White Lotus that Phoenix is not really able to care for it. A real flash from Fuji actually isn't able to get the kill. Here comes the curtain call. Ethereal does get it onto Alexander, and a 2v1 bot side. They're really trying to deal with Fresh Burger, who was able to get the ultimate. He does have his dunk ready. He's the ultimate. He doesn't get the dunk kill just yet. Doesn't get the reset. And I believe the Drink's probably going to get this kill in return and stop the split push. But it's a 2v1 just to deal with a top laner who doesn't even die. Oh, he does get the upper hand. I'm not sure he can get the kill. The root comes from Ethereal. Where did the Ethereal come from? As Nutrix has to flash out of the way. Flash from the Ethereal does get the kill. And ultimate from Canadian Champ is able to get 2 kills in return onto Daydreams and to Fresh Burger. I'm not sure if Canadian Champ does want to chase down onto Ethereal. He does back off. A lot of counterplay from both teams, just trading blows. The bubble does miss on the mid lane. Sprinky M Silly.
Yeah, at this point in the game, White Lotus, they are ahead. They are doing what they need to do as a team, but for Phoenix Rising to kind of come back, they do need to kind of stall it and wait till their players have items, because they do have like the Sivir who needs items, the Cho'Gath who needs items, and then the Anivia who also needs items. And so they really need to stall out until like probably the 35-minute mark, or at least a good 10 minutes.
Well, if you want to stall, I feel like that frozen Phoenix, pun intended, in the mid lane is a pretty good way to do it. I've seen her do some disgusting stalls later in the game, especially with the tier 2 ultimate that he has picked up just yet. Nice knockup onto Fuji. Luckily has a cleanse actually from his W. Gets away pretty easily. He had the Black Shield and a cleanse pretty luckily, but Palistar does hit onto the kind of bulk of the Phoenix team. But not much really just yet, as this tier 1 mid has still not gone down on the side of Phoenix, but the bubble does hit onto Canadian Champ. He gets the Palistar, he gets rooted up. He's gonna go down at the far last hit from Ethereal. The Paranoia onto the Alexander, but he doesn't go down as Craze really wants to turn this fight around, but he's way out from the rest of his team. A double kill for Ethereal, who calls the curtain. One shot. 2 shots does get Nutrix a triple kill for the Star ADC from the side of White Lotus. That's going to be the mid lane tower. Pretty easily pick it up for WL. And actually the top lane tower did go down as Fresh Burger, who wasn't even in that fight, and where they were able to pick up 3 kills. The mid lane tier 2 does go down. There's no tier 2 standing for the side of Phoenix anymore as the siege on the mid lane tower. Here comes Freshburger out of nowhere. He just walked through the wall. That's a really squishy Cho'Gath who's going to go down to Ethereal. 11, 2, and 5 on this Jhin. He's feeling it this game. He has not been shut down as he was last game. The inhibitor turret top lane is going to go down. I don't believe they want to go on the inhibitor just yet, but a rooted up Alexander might change their mind. But unfortunately, Kairos does go down. He went out just a little bit too far, but Canadian Champ might have returned the favor as being in too far himself. He gets popped instantly by Freshburger. Freshburger's looking for the resets. He's not able to get it, but here comes Ethereal. Ethereal is so strong right now. He's not going to go down just yet as Fuji pops Nutrix to finish things off. The top lane inhibitor is going to go down. There's 4 down on the side of Phoenix Rising. This might be the end of the game. 1 up, but a 1v1 on the side of Fuji and Craze. Craze isn't going to be able to do it. He does go down just barely to the Ignite as a bubble does hit on the Sprinkler. So a flash forward, apprehend from Fresh Burger. It's going to be a kill and an ace for the side of WL. And actually, Fresh doesn't go die, but how do they get out of here? They don't have enough health. They do have a massive mid-1 wave in the bot lane. It's going to be a bot lane inhibitor tower, probably the bot lane inhibitor. They are going to back off. They're feeling too scared as the respawns from the side of Phoenix Rising do come up.
Yeah, unfortunately, we aren't seeing the hard focus onto Arethiel as we did last game. So he's been being able to easily output his damage and, you know, chunk the players on the side of Phoenix Rising and, you know, take out players and like 1 or 2 shots just because of the amount of crit that he has as well. So anytime any CC on the side of White Lotus lands, you know, they're probably dead to Aethriel or to Freshburger at this point. So unfortunately for Phoenix Rising, they need to kind of, you know, just stop trying to fight and defend their base and just like wait it out until, you know, they have either the time or the money that they need.
So they have a pretty massive gold league at this point. What do they need to do to start closing this game out? They're starting to clear vision around the Baron. Is that it? Do you just need to pop the Baron, maybe force a fight around the Baron pit that you have such a gold lead? It actually looks like Phoenix is trying to engage. There's a flash forward and the ultimate from Craze on to Ethereal. They're trying to take out the big carry. A nice knockup does take him down, but it might be a little bit too much. Craze does go down. Unfortunately, though, both Daydreams is knocked out and probably a knockout from Kairos as well, who gets his GA popped. Actually does get away. Last shot from Nutrix does get the kill. Fuji's trying to turn this around, but he gets knocked up. He might actually go down 4 for 1 all of a sudden on the side of Phoenix Rising, but Freshburgers does not care. He's getting the bot lane inhibitor. He's been split pushing for the vast majority of this game. But that could be a Baron for the side of Phoenix with 32 seconds left on Kairos. It doesn't look like they're looking for it. Springmist actually is backing up, but he's staying. They do have the double secure of the Smite and the Cho'Gath ultimate. Was that a bit of a throw from White Lotus, or is Phoenix Rising just taking their opportunity when they need it?
I mean, right now the Darius is headed up towards Baron, so he could very well stop this. Like you see, Neutronix is low. And that's where their primary damage output is coming from as far as like these 3 players go, I believe.
It was forcing the Fash onto Neutronix. However, Freshburger does not have his... does actually pop the ultimate on to Sprinkle Me Silly, but he's very, very low as the rest of the team from Phoenix does turn around. Alexander has come here. The Baron was stopped. but at the price of a 1-for-1. Lots of summoners used on the side of Phoenix. Both summoners for Nutrinks. I believe a summoner for Sprinkle Me Silly as well. The Baron was stopped, but that's 2 inhibitors down. Do they even really need to get this Baron, as White Lotus does think about starting it up? They have 4 there. Might not do it just yet, but they have double inhibitors. Might as well start it, right?
Yeah, I feel like sending the Nivea back to wave clear against the Darius was a great call on the side of Phoenix Rising. But unfortunately, you know, she can't deal with the Darius properly. And so him being able to go in there and, you know, take out some of their players on the side of Phoenix Rising was definitely why they lost Baron. If, you know, they had maybe someone better to deal with him, like maybe instead of an Irelia, you know, like someone a little bit more beefier and able to, you know, deal with him accordingly, like maybe with a little bit.
Perhaps a top lane Cho'Gath?
Maybe a top lane Cho'Gath. I feel like Cho'Gath in the top lane definitely would have been a bit of a better pick in this particular game. Yeah.
So the Baron has been picked up for the side of White Lotus. There's 1 inhibitor still standing, 3 strong in mid lane. It looks like Freshburger's trying to give up on this split pushing style that he's been rocking with. He's trying to ARAM. He's trying to clear this out. It's a 30-minute game. Game 3, as I have mentioned, which is pretty rare for the side of White Lotus. They might be a little bit less than happy currently as they're starting the siege onto the mid lane. They might have felt like this should have been over a little bit earlier, as a bubble does hit on to Canadian champ. He's a little tanky at this point, though. He does Spirits Visage and Deadman's Finish. Looks like they're going to get the mid lane flash forward from Daydreams. He's going to try and ult. The same with the Paranoia. Paranoia is going to go straight onto Nutrinks, who is out in the middle of nowhere. Tries to kite out, but he can't get away. Nutrinks does go down. Same with the Craze. Same with actually Daydreams, who had flashed him forward, and unfortunately Ethereal is not going to go down. He does so much damage, he's not dying. Flash Apprehend from Freshburger as the carton is called, and a dunk onto the Phoenix. Ace for the side of White Lotus. It's going to be the game. They were taken to a game 3, but White Lotus is able to push their lead. They are now solidly sitting first place, 5-0, 2 ahead of the next team. A little bit of highlights, a little bit of lowlights from the side of White Lotus. What do you think?
Let's see. I definitely think that White Lotus did a little bit better as far as team comps go this game. Like, they did have players that weren't completely focused around their AD carry this game. So even if you know, Phoenix Rising were to focus the AD carry on the side of White Lotus again, like they did in the second game, they definitely would have been able to, you know, done a little bit better and kept it even again. But I think just because, you know, this time White Lotus had the Darius and then the Zoe, who puts out a massive amount of damage, and then the Nocturne as well, that you know, they were able to, you know, output more damage this game and not completely depend on A3 like they did last time. So I feel like that was a much better comp on the side of White Lotus, because Phoenix Rising figured out how to deal with A3, but having like other players doing damage, is harder to focus just A3 when you have a Zoe on you and you have Nocturne on you as well.
Who, ma'am, would you, why do I talk like William Shatner, like to interview in this post-game from the side of White Lotus? Who did you feel like was really an integral part of this win?
I actually feel like Daydreams deserves an interview, because even though in the second game the AD carry lost lane and, you know, was picked off very, very quickly, he was also like, he was doing his best to peel for them, and then also you know, after he got picked off, he rotated to like the next highest damage dealer and was peeling for them as well. So
well, if our production crew could grab the famous support from WL. Welcome, Daydreams. How are you doing? How do you feel?
I'm doing good. Feeling good. It's nice to win, obviously.
Any nerves going into that third game?
Not really. They got us good with the mouth. The mouth was a really good pick, just to shut down our ADC. But I knew going into game 3 that, if we just play our game and focus on macro and late game, middle game, we should pull out the victory.
I noticed that there was a lack of TP on the side of Phoenix for the entirety of the game, but it didn't seem until about the third game that Freshburger really went fully into the kind of split pushy playstyle, which really kind of sealed the deal this game. Was it just because you wanted the team fight with your compositions more in the previous games, or what was the thought process on keeping it more team focused?
In game 2, it was like we wanted him to kind of split, but at the same time, we knew that by the time TP came through, the team fight would have been over with the Malphite engage and all of their team stacking into it. So he had to kind of play towards the team. So we were not able to quite use him effectively in the split push, even though he was pretty strong.
Okay, that makes sense. Kind of building on that, who on your team or all of your team is kind of leading the call in most cases?
We all kind of chime in with stuff, but the primary shot caller, the one who can override everything, is Davey. Generally him, me, and our mid laner Fuji control all the early game stuff, though.
What would the in-game name of Davey be?
That's Kairos. Sorry.
Kairos, the jungle. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So basically, it's a little bit of a democracy, but all of a sudden, the despot will rule over just in case things are getting a little hectic.
Yeah, everybody kind of knows. Like, we've been playing together now for a while. Like, the synergy's happening. Like, sometimes we're not even talking as we're team fighting. Like that flash engage at the end there with the 3 people getting them caught was, I didn't even communicate. I just said, hey, there's 3, I'm going in. And
yeah.
That's it.
Excellent. Makes sense. Quasars, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I feel like Morgana Jhin is more of a passive or reactive bot lane, but I saw that you were playing a little bit aggressive in the early game. Like, what was the thought process behind that between you and A3 bot lane?
Yeah, so Cho'Gath is kind of, I mean, I'm not going to say troll pick, but like, I don't know, doesn't do well in lane. Like, it's either he has to eat minions to sustain or he just gets poked down. And so I knew that if I got anywhere in trouble, I could just black shield myself and he couldn't do anything to me. So I just stacked for days on my support item and kept them shoved into tower most of the time.
What is the support item? Can I check that in the post game? I don't think I can. That's unfortunate. Okay, so game 1 was nothing like game 2 and game 3. What do you credit for Phoenix, other than the kind of, you mentioned that the Malphite pick was a little bit weird, but there wasn't as much of a weird at least engage pick. Cho'Gath was a little bit weird, but they played differently in game 2 and 3. What really led them to kind of hold you guys back so much and actually even take the win in game 2?
The Malphite cheese was real, like legit. Like, we didn't respect it enough, and we didn't give them enough credit for the engage, and it showed. Like, we just kept getting caught out on stupid engages where we should have backed off and given them credit where credit should be due with the Malphite engage like that. Like, he was 100 to 0ing our ADC with just one button, so it's just not respecting it enough, and then yeah, just kind of playing like a monkey in game 2.
Okay, dude. Are we getting to finals without dropping a series? Is this the perfect game? Is this the perfect season? Am I going to jinx it right now?
I don't know. I mean, I think everybody on the team is really confident in their play. We're confident as a team. But like any team, and like we just saw it today, like any team can watch our VODs, figure out what we're doing, and find a counter. But I do think that since we can carry from every lane, and every person can pop off on our team, like, it's going to be hard to just pin us down.
Awesome. Daydreams, thank you very much for joining the cast. Congratulations on your win. You're now 5-0. That must feel pretty great. I hope you have a good evening. Hope you do very well in your next game. Hope you don't drop to 5-1. Hope I didn't curse you. Get going for the 6-0. Quasars, do you have any final words for our friends?
Not that I know of. Just good luck, have fun on your games, and don't be toxic, because toxic players they have a higher loss rate according to Riot.
Yeah, that seems like propaganda to me. But thank you very much, everyone, for Quasar is also joined by our good friend Daydream. Glad that he was on the desk with us for the very end. Very close matchup here between White Lotus and Phoenix. A lot of good from Phoenix towards the end of that series. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm glad to see you. Hope to see you again soon. Tune in tomorrow night for a matchup that I'm not remembering. And have a good night. White Lotus, who's going to get their possibly 6-game versus PPC. Maybe it's going to be a 5-1. We'll see how it goes tomorrow night at, I believe, 8:30. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a good evening.
Bye.